Now downtown 48 degrees. Dave and Dujanovic coming up next.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. The jury in the Lori Vallow Daybell case in Arizona will resume deliberations around 11:30 this morning. They're trying to reach a verdict in the case where Daybell is accused of conspiring to kill her fourth husband, Charles Vallow. During closing arguments, Daybell argued her husband's death was the result of self-defense, and the state was just trying to portray her as trying to get money.
To try to attack my character so that you would just say, guilty no matter what evidence they showed you.
We'll be monitoring the court closely throughout the day, and we will break in on KSL News Radio once a verdict is reached. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Roman Catholic cardinals are expected to meet at the Vatican today to decide funeral plans for Pope Francis. ABC's Mike Longman is at the Vatican reporting on an important meeting of the cardinals taking place today.
Today, they will meet to decide when the funeral will be. Usually the funeral is between 4 and 6 days after death. So we would expect during this period of mourning, there's a 9-day period of mourning. Over the weekend, we predict that his funeral will take place.
All cardinals eligible to participate in the conclave will be summoned to Rome. Of 252 cardinals, 135 are eligible, making this the largest and most diverse conclave on record. Here's ABC News papal contributor Father John Walk on the process.
What they do is known in general to the whole world. The rules for the conclave are public rules. It's just we're not on the inside, and they're being kept away from the outside. It's a different type of secrecy that's being lived to protect them, essentially, so that they can focus on their work without being influenced by considerations that are not the influences of the Holy Spirit.
Funeral plans are set for Saturday. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 800 points this morning, which is 2.1% to 38,972. Coming up, we've still got a big traffic tie-up in Farmington on both directions of the freeway. Traffic and weather together is next. KSL News Time, 9:02.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
When you want a brand new kitchen, there's nothing to it. There's a brand new way to do it. 3-day kitchen and bath. It's all about time.
3 days or less
at 3-day kitchen and bath.
Do you love your house and hate the thought of assisted living? Whether you're caring for a loved one in your home right now or planning to live independently in the years ahead, call 3-Day Kitchen and Bath. They can completely remodel your old bathroom in just 3 days and back up their work with a 100% satisfaction guarantee on both their quality and craftsmanship. If all you need is a new walk-in tub or easy entry shower to make your life easier, they could do just that for you. Avoid the hassle and stress of remodeling. Check them out on the web at 3daykitchen.com or call 3-Day Kitchen and Bath for your free design consultation today. 3-Day Kitchen and Bath. It's about time.
It's about time.
3 days or less
at 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
Breaking news! Dan the Laptop Man here from PC Laptops. Scalpers are gouging consumers for video cards for computers. Some of these are selling for $1,000, $1,500 more than they're actually MSRP priced, and scalpers are trying to rip you by taking advantage of the tariff situation. But the good news is at PC Laptops, we bought way ahead of time. So for right now, our computers are not going to be marked up 25 to 50% like most of our competitors. In fact, you can get a desktop or laptop for only $999. And to make it extra easy, we're doing 12 months zero interest financing on approved credit. desktop or laptop from $9.99 and no scalper pricing, pre-tariff pricing for you. Get into PC Laptops right now because we love you. PCLaptops.com. PCLaptops.com.
Welcome to Staples.
Hi, I hear Staples prints it all.
Oh, you bet. Posters, banners.
Can you print it all for Mother's Day?
Oh, of course. Photo gifts like canvas prints, photo puzzles.
Can you print it all for graduation?
Sure can. Custom cards and invites.
Can you print a huge banner with the grad's picture?
Oh, definitely.
Even an embarrassing baby picture?
Oh, those are the best kind.
I know, right?
Print it all for moms and grads at Staples. And right now, get 40% off custom cards, invites, and photo gifts. N75 exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-838-6161. That's 800-838-6161. 800-838-6161.
Join Mike Stevens of Capital Wealth Advisors for Retire Right Radio, Saturdays at 5 a.m. and 9 p.m. That's Retire Right Radio with Mike Stevens, Saturdays at 5 a.m. and 9 p.m.
Time for another check of traffic and weather together on KSL News Radio, brought to you by Mountain America's MyStyle checking account with built-in benefits. Let's check in with Heather Kelly.
Well, it's still a bit of a mess up in Davis County, whether you're northbound I-15 as you make your way from Parish Lane in Centerville all the way to Shepherd Lane in Farmington. That's due to lane restrictions. Southbound 15, not much better due to a crash that looks like it's just cleared, but you still have delays from about the same spot, US 89 merge in Farmington down into Centerville, and a lot of people are taking Legacy Parkway as an alternate southbound, and that's made things overly congested there as well. Traffic is easing I-15 coming out of Utah County into Salt Lake City, but you still have a few slow spots. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today, sunny with some clouds, highs in the 70s. It's 49 degrees right now in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio. Dave and Dujanovic, special coverage of the top national story.
Dave and I started debating this several hours ago, the moment we saw each other in our morning meeting in the conference room, and that is the New York Times report that the Trump administration seems to be soliciting ideas to raise the birth rate in this nation, which includes floating the idea of a $5,000 baby bonus for new moms.
Just last month, President Trump said, "I pledge to be the fertilization president." I mean, it's just so wild. $5,000 baby bonus. Number one, can we make this retroactive? I want my 20 grand. I've had 4 kids. I want my 20 grand baby bonus. I did my part.
It says for new moms.
Oh,
For new
man.
mothers.
Only moving forward.
Yeah.
What a disappointment. Now I don't like it.
So let's start here. I think it's maybe obvious why the Trump administration would be soliciting these ideas, as we've been experiencing a falling birth rate in this country since 2007. Now, whether a $5,000 baby bonus is the right idea, some people might say yes, some people might say no. But don't worry, if you have an opinion about this, we are going to be soliciting phone calls. Would a $5,000 baby bonus incentivize you to grow your family? So let's start there. The reason is probably mainly due to the birth rate.
Would it incentivize me? I would say yes. And not whether or not to have a child, but probably the timeline. It probably moves the timeline up for me. You know, if I were to have children, I thought, oh, you know what, that $5,000, that may pay for the labor and the delivery. Kids are super expensive, right? This isn't going to cover all the costs. It'll cover a fraction of the cost of that first year. But $5,000 would absolutely move the timeline up for me.
How so?
It would just make it a little bit easier. You know, when you're trying to save up, especially when you're when you first start having kids. If you're in your your late 20s or early 30s, perhaps you're not completely established in your career and money is a little bit tight. $5,000 could be the difference between being able to afford the doctor's bills and not.
801-575-TALK. Would a $5,000 baby bonus from the federal government incentivize you, your significant other, to grow your family? 801-575-TALK. Dave says it would. I would want to look deeper at this reason for the falling birth rate to begin with. And I think it speaks to what I experienced looking retroactively at my experience now that I'm in my 50s, right? Because going into this, I had no idea what we were in for financially. I think part of the reason behind the falling birth rate that we've experienced is because it is so expensive long term. And my hope would be is that if this were to come to fruition, there would be this $5,000 bonus, if that even becomes something more than what's being talked about behind the walls of the White House, is that families who were in line to receive this bonus realized the dedication and the commitment that it takes to be a parent. It is not a one-time $5,000 bonus worthy situation.
They're far more expensive.
It's not only the financial expense, but it is all in emotionally, right? The phone rings and you got to go. It's 2:00 in the morning, Mommy, I'm sick. It is high fever at 6 a.m. Plans change for the day, and we all have to pile in the car and go to the emergency room. It is ups and downs of raising kids. I'm not trying to paint a Debbie Downer picture of this. I have 3 kids. I love this is like the best thing that I'll ever do is be a mom. But it's not $5,000 does not cover the cost of all of a lifelong commitment emotionally. You have to be all in. And I hesitate to say yes to spending taxpayer money to incentivize parents who might not be in the right emotional spot to spend the rest of their lives. And it truly is. It's once they're 18, it doesn't just cut off. They don't just stop calling you. Some of their problems become bigger problems. And you want to be there for them, right? I mean, this isn't just, I changed my phone number, good luck. It is constant. And if you have 2 or 3 kids, it's just like you're dealing with one day and you're helping the next child the next day. I'm concerned that a $5,000 baby bonus would be the carrot up front to get people to have more children, but in no way does it pay for in the long term.
It is interesting to me that we're quick to throw out money, right? That we think, we have a real problem. Families aren't having kids. We need to have more kids. So let's just give them some money. Like the money is the solution. I think what's happening is our marketing campaign for children is terrible. It's very easy to get caught up into the negatives. It's very easy to look at the struggles of being a parent and the emotional toll. The hardest thing for parents or prospective parents is you just don't know what you're missing. You don't know what the return is. You can't explain, or we can't articulate well enough the amount of joy that you'll find in your children. I never thought there would be a day where I would want to watch a terrible T-ball game, right? It's fun though. It's great to watch that. Watching the Minecraft movie. I would never go to the Minecraft movie, but when you're going with your kids and they are cracking up every 2 seconds, then that kids expand your joy. And I think it's funny that we think, we want to incentivize or we want to encourage parents to have more kids. Let's give them money. How about this? How about we improve the marketing campaign?
How does that look?
Well, I think we can easily get caught up in the negatives, right? It's very easy to remember how expensive it is, how the emotional toll. When your kids have downs, you're down too, right? You're riding that roller coaster. There's a lot of stresses, but in my experience, that's a small portion of being a father. That's a small portion of having children. Largely, it's a party. Like, we just enjoy each other. I love seeing them grow. My kids ask me all the time, what's your favorite age? What's your favorite age when we were growing up? I'm like, where you're at right now. You enjoy the newborns, you enjoy the toddler, and then as they grow into their own people, it's enjoyable. But I think we're like, oh, you know what would solve this? Money. Let's give parents money.
I think we may be coming at this from two totally different genders.
Maybe.
And you've made parenting children sound like an absolute circus. Like, it's super fun, and now we're going to bring in the clowns, and look at us, we're going to go ride the ponies. And in the middle of the night at 3 a.m., it's mommy. It's mom, I need help with it. Mom, I need, and perhaps, and also we're the ones birthing the children, and it is not easy on our bodies, And again, I want to qualify this and say I would do it all over again, and I did not have easy pregnancies. However, we're the ones that are putting ourselves through this, and not every mom, and I know, a lot of families in Utah have experienced this, go through childbirth without, seamlessly without complications. There are certain conditions. I mean, I had a potentially concerning condition with my first pregnancy, where they eventually, I was working at Channel 4 News at the time, they had to take me off the air and make sure that I wasn't being overworked to the point, because I gained 100 pounds, Dave, which is way over what I should have gained in the time that I was pregnant. So I was retaining water, and there was some problems internally with me and my daughter Lizzie, and everything turned out fine in the end. Mm-hmm. But to say, $5,000 baby bonus and everything will be okay, there are a lot of other things to consider. Aaron, in Logan, you think this can be dangerous to attach a paycheck to having a child. How so?
Well, I just think that anytime there's a monetary value attached to bringing a human being into this world, there are lots of people that would take it for the right reasons, but I think there's also a hidden incentive there for a quick buck that can be dangerous. We already have children in our foster system, our adoption system that exist, lacking families, and to attach that kind of paycheck to incentivize having more children that way when we have children that already aren't being taken care of in this world, I think can be really dangerous. Then you end up with an influx of kids that, I don't want to, be accusatory, but an influx of kids that aren't being cared for the way that they need to be, just because there's people in this world that will take that paycheck for the wrong reasons.
I could see that being the case if it were $50,000. I wonder if, I just can't imagine that would be the case for $5,000. $5,000 is not life-changing. And for the amount of time, money, effort that it takes to bring a child into the world, $5,000 is almost a rounding error.
In my view, that might be the reason this program doesn't work either.
Because it's not enough?
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the breakdown by our friend and colleague at the Deseret News, Lois Collins, and she did a story that posted in March of this year about the first year cost of raising a newborn, and it's like $20,000. You've got the baby related expenses. You've got, if you work, you've got childcare, which she put for 9 months at $10,000. Feeding a newborn, including formula, and then merging them onto solid foods, is $3,500. Nursery expenses are $1,300. Diapers are $1,000. And I tried to do the cloth diapers, and that is extremely inconvenient. I don't know how our parents did it. I tried to save money doing things like cloth diapers and breastfeeding. That didn't work out for me either, or my children. So we had to immediately go to the pricey formula, cans of formula. I couldn't believe the expense. When our children finally came off of store-bought diapers and formula. I came home that day after that shopping trip, 3 children in, and I told my husband, I said, we've gotten a huge raise. It is so expensive. So when you talk about the $5,000 in the context of what it costs just in the first year at $20,000, again, that's an average. That's not going to come anywhere near covering the expense. And then you brought up earlier, well, what about the cost of having the child? Does that just pay for the deductible on a parent's health care plan? What if they don't have significant or enough sufficient health care coverage to cover all of that? So are they going to be stuck with a hospital bill?
I will say we can logic our way out of being parents in a hot minute. Like, we could do that very easily because it is expensive. It is a burden. It is dangerous. It's all these things, and it's absolutely worth it. It's totally worth it. Even families where you do have the tragedies or the losses or the difficulties and the financial, all of that, I think we can very easily focus on those negativities, but it's just very hard to quantify. We can't put a dollar value on the joy that kids bring and the happiness and the fulfillment. And I think we need to look at a little deeper. What is it that is causing birth rates to fall? Is it because we want to go on more lavish vacations? We want to have more freedom? Is it because we're being selfish? Is it because we don't have the capacity to do it? Well, that's every parent ever, right? We all feel ill-prepared. I'll never forget the first time I brought that kid home. I'm like, what did we do? This was a terrible decision. I don't know anything about babies. And then you figure it out.
It's not lavish vacations that we're avoiding. It is the cost of housing. It is the cost of inflation. I think parents, potential parents are sitting down, Dave, at the dinner table, and they're discussing the actual cost of financing a family, putting a roof over their heads, making sure that they have enough food on the table. And if both parents work, they absolutely cannot avoid the cost of daycare, which is could be between $1,000 and $1,500 a month. We know there's a shortage in the state of daycare, and there has been for a while. I've talked about it plenty of times on the show. Not all parents nowadays can afford to have one parent stay at home full time and raise the children while the other parent goes to work, with an average, the median income of $60,000 a year, and the average price of a home being in the $500,000 range. Okay, you can live in an apartment for a while, but eventually your children need a yard, right? And eventually you want to buy that home on a street where they can have neighbors that are going to be around and not going to be moving every 6 months when the lease is up. You want stability for your children, not at the whim, and stability, is often at the whim of a landlord. If you live in an apartment and you don't know if the rent is going to increase $1,000 a month or $50 a month. These are the real issues that families are facing. I don't think young couples are sitting down at the dinner table and saying, would we rather go to Spain on vacation or would we rather have a child? I think that they are looking at the real raw data and recognizing that life is so expensive. And we have an economy right now that people are, quite frankly, unsure of and have been for a number of years due to inflation. And we don't know where things are going to go. And I think these are the real questions that families are asking. They're not asking if they can afford Maui. They're not. That's not where we're at with this. That's what I believe.
Yeah, I think those are valid points too. I think everyone makes that decision for a million different ways. What I'm trying to say is I think a lot of people will look at it and say, I would like to have the freedom instead of being tied down with children, because children are a huge investment. We are seeing, on average, about 1.7 children being born per couple. They call that below replacement. So we're not even replacing ourselves. And the reason that's so crucial is we have to have every generation come in and contribute. They're the next generation of workforce. They're the next generation to build up this economy. So not only is there a practical need, and I think that's what the Trump administration is looking at, there's a practical need, but I think there's a societal need. And it's very easy to talk ourselves out of children. It doesn't always make sense. It is a huge sacrifice, no question. And it's something that I think we should do. I mean, we've done it, and I don't know why. Sure, I guess you explained it well. Like there's a lot of question marks. There's a financial burden to it, no question. But I think, nevertheless, we can talk ourselves out of a lot of good ideas through logic.
My point is there are a lot of things that need to be addressed when we talk about baby bonuses. And, in fact, we're going to address this more in the 11 o'clock hour. So we'll return to the conversation at 11:05. Straight ahead, speaking of money, Americans throwing in the towel on saving money, according to a new survey. We're setting our savings goals every month, but we're coming up short. And we'll do the math on how much we're coming up short next.
The murder of two men forces their families to wrestle with impossible questions. Who is forgiveness for? Does everyone deserve a second chance? Follow Season 2 of The Letter, Ripple Effect, at theletterpodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
If you're going through hard times, you want to build a team around you. You want to have a support system. And that is something that Renaissance Ranch understands so well. So if you have a family member that is struggling with addiction, Renaissance Ranch wants to bring that support system together.
And they do that through these free online Zoom classes. Dave and I have talked about these classes for months. They're great because you can shape them and take them around what works for your schedule.
Yeah, they're just about every single day. There's some that are at lunchtime, some in the evenings. All you have to do is go to renaissanceranch.com and see the list of classes that are available. There's some for spouses, for parents. There's a women's support group, a couples recovery group. There's so many different classes that would apply to your situation.
And we've said this before, but I always like to put a fine point on this. You do not have to have a loved one enrolled at Renaissance Ranch to take these courses. You can just jump on these Zoom calls and learn more about how you can, help yourself when your loved one is going through addiction for free.
Check them out, renaissanceranch.com.
And now, the moment we've all been waiting for.
Hit it. It's time to spring into summer with Soda Weight Loss. Because right now, you'll get our biggest discount of the year.
Are you serious? Yeah! Just 3 weeks in, and the pounds are dropping off very quickly. I am down 26 pounds in 3 weeks.
Every single day, Soda Weight Loss is helping people let go of the weight. Without drugs, without hunger, and the weight stays off.
I let go of 50 pounds. It felt unreal. I was so proud of myself. My body did exactly what it wanted to do. I just gave it its tools.
Let's spring into summer right now with Soda Weight Loss. If you want to look like this for summer, now is the time to join America's #1 weight loss company for client satisfaction and results.
Remember, this is our best offer of the year, so let's go.
Get started now at sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
When should you file for Social Security to get the most out of your benefits? Get the answer in a free report, your guide to filing for Social Security in 2025 and beyond. It's from Boss Retirement Solutions. If you've saved more than $200,000 and have not filed for Social Security, get your free report now by calling 801-251-1046. 801-251-1046. There's more to maximizing Social Security than filing for your benefits early or late. This free report details all of the different things you must consider that could help you get the most net income from Social Security. Wring every nickel out of your benefits that are rightfully yours. Get your free report now by calling 801-251-1046. That's 801-251-1046.
Boss Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the Social Security Administration.
Welcome to Staples.
Hi, I hear Staples prints it all.
Oh, you bet. Posters, banners.
Can you print it all for Mother's Day?
Oh, of course. Photo gifts like canvas prints, photo puzzles.
Can you print it all for graduation?
Sure can. Custom cards and invites.
Can you print a huge banner with the grad's picture?
Oh, definitely.
Even an embarrassing baby picture?
Oh, those are the best kind.
I know, right?
Print it all for moms and grads at Staples. And right now, get 40% off custom cards, invites, and photo gifts. N75 exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-838-6161. That's 800-838-6161. 800-838-6161.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top local story this hour: a 1st District judge had harsh words for a former Logan police officer in his sentencing hearing on Monday.
You are the bad apple, sir.
Judge Angela Fonsbeck said the defendant has tarnished public trust in police officers and criticized him for failing to apologize for his actions. The judge said she only accepted his plea deal after speaking with the survivor.
If you come back in here for even the smallest of violations, you should just plan on a trip to prison.
He'll serve 1 year in jail and have probation after pleading no contest to felony counts of aggravated assault and stalking with 3 misdemeanor counts of sexual battery. A Utah man convicted of murder is now being charged for allegedly threatening corrections officers. Police say 35-year-old Terrence Voas was convicted for the 2021 murder of Shandon Scott earlier this year. He's scheduled to be sentenced in May. He's now accused of spitting and kicking at corrections officers and also being charged with 3 counts of making a threat of terrorism for allegedly trying to provoke a prison riot. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Calls for Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to resign are growing. He reportedly shared details of a U.S. attack plan on Yemen in another Signal group chat that included his wife and brother. ABC News Chief Affairs anchor Martha Raddatz reports.
President Trump is publicly standing by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth amid growing calls for his resignation. Just weeks after revelations that Hegseth sent highly sensitive military attack plans to administration officials on the commercial app Signal, sources now say Hegseth shared some of the same sensitive attack plans with his wife Jennifer and others on a separate Signal chain that he created.
The officials involved in the last Signal scandal did not resign or face any penalties. Your money at this moment, the Dow's up 779 points since opening. That's 2 full percent, 38,952. Coming up, it's going to be warm today and even warmer later this week. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time 9:32.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Got an app idea? You're sitting on a gold mine, but stuck on how to bring it to life? Meet Dev Simplify, your superheroes for web and mobile app creation. Dev Simplify. DevSimplify.com. Just ask Coach Mike with Practice Planner Live.
You know, as a coach, technology isn't my strength, but Dev Simplify took my idea for Practice Planner Live and turned it into the top practice planning platform on the market. They transformed my non-technical vision into an incredible web and mobile app that coaches like me now can't live without.
See, you don't need to be a tech wizard. Your idea plus Dev Simplify's superhero software skills equals a big win, right, Mike?
You know, I had big plans for my app, and with Dev Simplify's help, it's now a thriving must-have platform for all coaches.
Dev Simplify, turning your brilliant ideas into amazing web and mobile. No tech skills required. Visit DevSimplify.com and let the magic begin. DevSimplify.com.
Time for a check of traffic and weather together on KSL News Radio, brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account with built-in benefits. Heather, what do we got going?
Well, we've got a new crash, southbound I-15, right at where the ramp from Parish Lane and Centerville merges onto southbound I-15. It's blocking the right lane and shoulder. It's back traffic up to the West Davis corridor merge, which is where we had an earlier crash. So a lot of this delay is from the first crash. Now we have the second one at Parish Lane. Then you've got delays northbound I-15. They start right around Lagoon Drive, head up toward Shepherd Lane in Farmington. That's due to lane restrictions. And then we are still cleaning up a crash in Parley's Canyon. It's right at the top of the on-ramp from Lambs Canyon to go westbound I-80. That's out of traffic, though, not causing too many issues. Use Superior Water and Air for all your HVAC and water treatment needs. Visit superiorwaterandair.com. Superior Water and Air, we got this. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today, sunny with some clouds. Highs will reach the 70s. It'll get colder tonight with a small chance of showers that'll continue overnight into tomorrow, but by Friday it'll have warmed up to a high of maybe 75 degrees. Right now it's fair and 52 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio. Right on the money. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
Well, there's a new survey out, Dave. It says that Americans, in a nutshell, are tossing in the towel on savings. What really surprised me about the survey responses is they're having to nickel and dime their savings away on everyday expenses, including house payments.
Saving is one of the great burdens of my life. Quite frankly, it's just incredibly difficult when you're newly married, new parents, raising a family, living paycheck to paycheck, and then to feel the burden of, you're putting money away though, right? You're like, what money are you talking about? I just blew a tire. I don't have $1,000 in an emergency fund to replace tires. How do you think I'm going to save long term?
So it's like the reverse of Oreo cookies. Like with Oreo cookies, you know you shouldn't, but you do anyway. With savings, you know you should, but you don't because you can't, or you think you can't.
Yeah.
Let me just dive into this study finds and spit out some data for you and see what your reaction is. So we actually, as Americans, we have savings goals, which speaks to it's what you're experiencing. It's hanging over your head. It's this burden. I know I should. And that saving goal, in general, is a little less than $500 a month that we're trying to scrape and claw into a savings account. But the problem is where we feel defeated is when we start looking at the math and the bottom line. Only about a third can save $200. Out of that $500 goal, you're only getting to $200. So we're setting ourselves up for failure. Kind of we stunk it up again this month, honey, because we're $300 short on our savings goal. What if we set our goal at $200?
Yeah, then you feel great.
Like a champ.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I did it. I hit it.
If you set a goal at $50 a week to squirrel that away, and you did that for a year, what would you have, about $2,500 in savings?
Yeah. So I spoke to an Olympian one time, and he had the best piece of advice when he was talking about goals. He said, you should wake up excited to accomplish your goals. You shouldn't feel pressure and dread when you set the goals. And when you said that $500, I felt pressure and dread. Then you dropped it down to $200. I'm like, oh, well, that is something I might be able to do. And I think sometimes we put so much pressure on ourselves, or we set such high expectations that it's unrealistic, because it changes over the years. Your finances will change. And you can change, maybe it's $200 for the first 5 years. And if you get in that habit, then maybe you can jump it up to $300, $400, $500. But I think finding the habit of investing is one of the hardest things to do.
I think one of the motions that gets me seasick when I do this is when I put money in savings and then I withdraw it. right? I put money in savings, and then a week later I'm withdrawing it. And that's what Americans are saying they're doing right now. 48% saying, they've been struggling to keep money in savings since the first of the year. 48% withdrawing for unexpected expenses. 48%, okay, almost half unexpected expenses. Okay, that happens. That's kind of what savings is for. But then this is the number that gets me. 36% say it's for everyday necessities.
Buying a gallon of milk.
Yeah. And 23% say they're using it for house payments or housing payments, whether that's rent or housing, or house payment. You're using it to put a roof over your head. And I have been searching for the fix to that. What is the fix to that? Buy a smaller house? Well, it costs a lot of money to move. Move apartments to save money? Well, I used to do that when I was single. It was great then. I just pack up and leave after a 6-month lease to save a couple $100. And eventually the lease payment would catch right back up to me after I was negotiating a renewal, which was never really much of a negotiation with the landlord, was the tenant. And I would move on to the next place. So at some point it becomes a cycle of despair, because every time you move, you're resetting your mailing address. You need to reset your utilities. You got to pay a startup cost for this or that, and so you're just kind of chasing your financial tail on that. So that's not always a great solution, and I don't know how to fix that, other than what I've said in the past. And I sound like a broken record, and that is when I got in over my head, I just went and got a side hustle, and I got up at some awful hour in the middle of the night before anybody should be awake, and drove through the streets of Salt Lake City to be, on country radio every single morning, and did morning drive as a news person. So that worked out well for me, but it was short-lived. I was bone tired because I worked from dusk to dawn to dusk, and sometimes from dusk to dawn.
I think a really strong piece of advice, we got this from Shane Stewart, who we often talk to. He's a certified financial planner, and he says when it comes to savings, it doesn't matter so much how much you're saving. It's the fact that you are saving.
The motion.
Yeah, it's make it automatic. And the great tip that he has is direct deposit, have a savings account, and direct deposit. If it's $5, then it's $5. Everyone can afford $5, right? But just get in the habit of having that deposited into an account that you're not touching. Have an emergency account, or maybe you send $5 to the emergency account and $5 to the forever savings account. But where you're starting to get in that habit, I think, is crucial, because it can be overwhelming. And it doesn't surprise me when we're reading this article that Americans have tossed in the towel on saving money because we have been overwhelmed. We feel hopeless. But everyone can do $5. And then after you do $5 for a few months, and maybe you think, oh, well, maybe I can go up to 10 and 20. And the motion and the habit, I think, is key.
Half believe they'll never reach their financial targets. Half believe they'll never reach their financial targets. And I want to have this mom moment where I say sometimes it can feel that way, but it really is about having a positive attitude, like busting through the wall every single time, getting up every time you get knocked down. I've had to have this conversation in my brain with myself numerous times. It is like, oh, I will never, in each sentence that starts with I will never, I have to stop myself and reframe it. Because we somehow we can be resilient if we choose to be that, but it's like I will never is the worst way to start a sentence. I'm guilty of it. I have convicted myself many, many times and tossed myself in timeout for saying I will never, ever be able to fill in the blank. I'll never be able to own a new car. I'll never be able to own my own home. I'll never be able to retire. I will never, ever. And it has happened time and time again. And I need to stop myself in my tracks and say, if you have that attitude, Deb, you're 100% right. It will never happen. But you know what that sounds like? A bunch of mom advice that I would give my kids in the worst time when they don't want to hear that, right?
Yeah, not
so
exactly
I
open
apologize
for it.
myself, just thinking, well, you can wish your way to a brighter savings future if you just change the narrative. But you have to, because what's your choice? What choice do you have? To think you'll never? To think
you're going to work forever until you're 97 years old?
47% believe they'll never reach their financial targets. Well, what happens when you do? What happens when you reach that target? Right? Because you will if you think and you plan to do it, but you won't if you keep dragging yourself down. So tell us, what was that wake-up call that forced you to save? What was that wake-up call that forced you to say, enough is enough, I'm going to stop telling myself never and start telling myself, yeah. 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK. I've got mine. I think some of you who have been longtime listeners know what my wake-up call was, but guess what? I'm a mom, so I'm going to tell you it again next.
Hi, I'm Utah tax attorney Jordan Wilcox. When the IRS invades your life, keep in mind, it's not just you.
My name is David. I was in trouble with the IRS. I owed about $140,000. It was a very stressful thing to know that you owed that much money to the IRS.
Don't face the IRS alone.
When I knew how much I owed, it was really, it's overwhelming. It's you worry about the whole, your whole world, what's going to happen.
With everything in your life at stake, don't trust just anyone.
Everything was said and done, and with the IRS offered me to pay $4,000.
You need someone to fight for you.
Do not hesitate. Do not think it twice. Go see Jordan Wilcox.
Visit endtaxworry.com. Put an end to IRS collection and aggression today. That's endtaxworry.com.
Anybody that needs help in this situation, please go see him.
endtaxworry.com.
If your water heater's over 10 to 15 years old, congratulations. You've beat the average. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I love hearing stories of people having water heaters that are really old and they're still doing their job. Unfortunately, most of us won't be that lucky. And when water heaters fail, it's usually in spectacularly inconvenient fashion. Whether it's an unexpected cold shower when we're already running late for work, or worse yet, coming home to a flooded basement, it's never fun. If you'd like to look into replacing your water heater before it fails, Any Hour Services is having a sale for any homeowners listening. Whether you're looking for a new tanked water heater or you want to see what upgrading to a tankless would cost, the plumbers at Any Hour Services can show you what options are available. And right now, you can save $400 on a tanked water heater or $1,200 on a tankless. If you think you might be interested, call Any Hour Services today and schedule your free estimate. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Dave and Dujanovic.
There's a new survey out. We found this on Study Finds. It says almost half of Americans believe they'll never reach their financial targets, Dave. We're taking live calls, 801-575-TALK. I want to know, what was your wake-up call that forced you to start saying yes to saving and no to spending?
It's the very first thing that I taught my children. I think in part, when I came to money, is saving. In part because I have been so bad about it over the years. And when I was 13 years old, I was the lawnmower of the neighborhood. And I remember one year I made $1,000 mowing lawns. And my mom, she's like, it's your money. You earned it. You spend it how you want. I blew through every single penny of that $1,000 as a 13-year-old in 1988.
How did that feel for you in the moment?
Amazing. I'm like, I got all this money. Like, hey, let's go to the movies. I'm treating. I would take my friends to the movies at 13 years old because I had all this money to burn. And I think it set me on a course of spend, spend, spend. You can always earn more. And I was a terrible saver. So when I had children, the first thing I told them, and I stole this great idea from my brother, I said, you take your money, you split it in two, pay 10% to charity, then take the remaining. Half of it goes to savings. The other half, you spend it however you want. And my kids did that religiously. And they had saved, by the time they were adults and moved out, thousands and thousands of dollars. And that's, I believe it, I overcorrected because I have habitually, until the last several years, been a terrible saver.
But you stepped it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I finally did.
Yeah, with the $1,000 challenge we did a few years ago together as a team, and we got listeners on board. It was super fun and exciting. And what it did is it gave people peace of mind.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You have $1,000. Maybe you turn it into $2,000. Maybe you turn it into $3,000. Maybe you do like our producer, Caitlin Johnston, did. And in just a few months, you have amassed a decent little savings account. It's not so little, and I'm so proud of you.
Thanks.
Tell
It
us
took
what was your
hard work.
wake-up call.
Well, I've lived with a roommate ever since I've moved out, basically, and she decided to move. And we kind of had an agreement where, there was a portion of time where I was paying rent by myself, and then one of the things that did help is I asked her to kind of pitch in again. And that was one thing that helped me get the savings rolling. But yeah, it was the wake-up call of, oh, I'm living alone now. By the time my lease ends come spring, I may be alone and I may have to face this. And if my income gets cut off in any way, I'm going to be on the streets. Jokingly, but it was a wake-up call because, you've relied on splitting the rent, and I didn't know what that next step was. So it really made, and I had some car problems. It all happened at once, honestly. But I just knew that a new car might be in the works as well, and I just really wanted to get diligent on my savings. And it is hard to save. It's really hard to save when you're paying rent and paying all of that. I luckily don't have a car payment right now, but I may have one soon if I get a new car. So I went the direct deposit route. I opened a high yield savings account. I have 2 now, actually. It helps me personally not to see it in my main bank account because I don't get tempted to, transfer money if I do that or anything. But I don't touch it, direct deposit. And I've saved close to $4,000 now. So since January, and it's just adding
since January.
Yeah, adding more
Congrats.
income. I have side hustles so that it's not just one income, because it's sometimes when you need to save, you just need to bring in more money, and it's hard. But cutting expenses and really I went into hibernation. I don't do anything, so it works though. But I think it is very helpful to hide it from yourself as well.
What has that done for your stress level?
Well, I'm still stressed, but it's helped to know that cushion is there, because I had a savings, but I would casually just dip into it because it was in my main bank account and it wasn't, hidden from me. But knowing that I at least have 1 month's rent kind of saved if something were to happen is very helpful. And I'm still working on savings because I want to be able to put a down payment on a car. I want to be able to do more of this. It's not quite where I want it to be, but when you do it direct deposit and you don't look at it, it can build very quickly.
Dave and I talking with Caitlin Johnston, our producer, about this survey that came out in Study Finds, where they asked 2,000 Americans about savings goals. And we have a goal. It's on average about $500 a month. We're coming up short. Only about a third say they can save $200 a month or less. So setting that goal high, not being able to hit it, not even close to being able to hit it, I think is disappointing to people, and it might be making them feel as though, I'll never get there. I'll never get there. I'd say lower the goal to $200 a month. $50 a week, go for it. My wake-up call was, I've talked about this on the show many times, was 07, 08 and the downturn in the market, the housing market, and all the fraud that went on, and eventually causing a darn near collapse of our economy, and the stock market tanking, the housing market tanking, to the point where it was a real wake-up call for me, not only with, where we were at financially, but what we, in the moment, which was not good, but where we were going in the future. And the one thing we kicked into gear was just collapsing our grocery budget, which was out of control. We were wildly out of control with our grocery spending. We didn't even know how much we were spending on groceries because nobody was in charge of the grocery bill. We had dinner on the table every night. I was absolutely steadfast about that while we were raising kids. We have to have dinner on the table every single night, at least as much as reasonably possible, working full-time, both of us. But we didn't know how much. So we collapsed that grocery budget down to $400 a month, $100 a week, and we stuck to that budget for years and years and years and years. And I recently talked to my ex-husband about this, only a couple of months ago. I said, do you think, am I remembering that right? Were we good about it? He's like, oh, you were so good about that. Like, I would have him drive me to the stores with the best sales. And I would run out of the car and I'd run and get stuff. And then I would get back in the car and then he'd drive me to the next store, which was actually kind of a lot of fun. But the point is that's when I realized we have to do better, because now is our opportunity to reel in our savings and be able to save a lot more. And that was my wake-up call. Like, having that wake-up call has ultimately paid off, as tough as it was, has paid off for me for more than a decade now.
One of my favorite parts of that story is you changed behavior. And it's hard to change behavior. It's hard to change habits. Yeah, right. And it's absolutely crucial, though, because if nothing changes, nothing changes. And Caitlin, as you were saying, had you not said, I'm going to change directly where my money is going, I'm going to divert a chunk of my money every single paycheck. If nothing changes, nothing changes. So I love that part about your guys' stories. You did something proactively to change, and then you saw the benefits of it.
But so did you.
I did the same thing. I started donating plasma. That was my job.
It's incredible.
As soon as I realized, I'm going to build up that $1,000 by taking blood out of my arm. And it was great. And now I hoard that money like I'm a dragon. Like, no one can touch that money. This is untouchable cash. Don't touch it. But that's great. And I think it has really helped me, and I think it's changed a lot of my mindset. And it de-stresses my life, and I think we all can enjoy a de-stressed life.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
Discover the timeless value at Duke's Jewelers, a local treasure since 1948. Whether you're searching for a unique engagement ring or need expert watch repair, Duke's has been serving the community for over 75 years. It's the perfect time to visit and explore the wide selection of custom designs and quality gemstones. The skilled designers at Duke's can bring your dream piece to life, while experienced jewelers handle repairs and modifications in-house. Duke's Jewelers takes pride in value pricing, ensuring you receive the best prices every day. Need an appraisal? The Duke's Jewelers AGS certified gemologist is here to help. Whether it's hand or machine engraving, or redesigning old favorites into something new, get personalized service for every occasion. Visit Duke's Jewelers and experience the difference of locally operated expertise and dedication. Duke's Jewelers in Springfield, Utah.
Hello, Utah. I'm Josh with IWC Roofing. For over 25 years, my family has been safeguarding your homes with the finest roofing solutions. We value your time, and we're committed to replacing most roofs in just 1 day with a peace of mind 50-year shingle warranty. Call us today at 801-232-5690 or visit iwcroofingutah.com. Ask us for the $1,500 off any full roof replacement. Financing available, 801-232-5690. Utah homeowners, look no further than IWC Roofing for a roof that stands the test of time. With 25 years of excellence, IWC is your trusted family-owned roofing expert. At IWC, we offer one-day roof replacements with top-tier quality materials, all with a 50-year shingle warranty. To keep a leaky roof from dampening your day, we're offering $1,500 off a full roof replacement. Get a free estimate. Call 801-232-5690 or visit iwcroofingutah.com. 801-232-5690.
Attention Utah residents, the tariffs are here and prices will be going up May 1st. Sound Warehouse is loaded in thousands of dollars in pre-tariff mobile audio video systems and more. Beat the tariffs at Sound Warehouse until the end of April. Marine, Harleys, and side-by-side audio. The entire inventory of Sound Warehouse at pre-tariff prices through the end of April. Salt Lake, Orem, and Ogden or soundwarehouse.com. Rockin' Utah for over 46 years. The Warehouse. Sound Warehouse.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love
these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
Whether you're shaping up a small yard or tackling serious acreage, Steel walk-behind, zero-turn, and stand-on mowers are built to get the job done. Shop online or at your local Steel dealer. Steel, let's go mow. Available at participating dealers.
Go from daydreamer to industry leader with Amazon Business. From office supplies to IT essentials, Amazon Business provides tools that help you save costs and make insight-based decisions. Learn how to bring your visions to life at AmazonBusiness.com.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. The federal government is ordering a Utah immigration attorney to leave the country despite the fact he's a U.S. citizen. Carlos Trujillo has been a U.S. citizen for about 15 years, but he just got an email telling him to leave the United States. He says getting that email brought back fear he hasn't felt since before he became a citizen.
And all of a sudden, he brought me back to the beginning of my years in this country and having that chill down your spine in regards to immigration.
Trujillo says he believes the email was sent to him by mistake. Despite that, he says the worry hasn't gone away. Expect to see heavy black smoke and maybe even flames by the Ogden Bay today. The Weber, Box Elder, and Cache County fire districts will be performing a prescribed burn. That smoke may stick around until tomorrow as well. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. A gunman who staged an attack at a Walmart in El Paso nearly 6 years ago has pleaded guilty to capital murder charges in exchange for avoiding the death penalty.
As part of Patrick Crucia's sentencing, family members of the 23 people he killed inside a Walmart were allowed to address him directly. The sister-in-law of victim Arturo Benavides spoke through a translator.
I would like to know how you could throw away your life. Y la nuestra. And ours, too.
Patrick Crucias could have faced the death penalty. The prosecutor said that process would take years. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, the Dow's up 1,000 points now, 2 3/4% to 39,206. Coming up, it's a beautiful day today. KSL weather, temps, and the rest of the week forecast coming up next. KSL News Time 10:01.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hi, Susan. We haven't seen or heard from you.
Cold.
We would like to locate Joyce.
The mysteries that made podcast history
Cherie Warren disappeared.
are now together for free at KSLPodcasts.com.
I'm Dave Cawley, the host of Cold. Join me for Season 1, The Susan Powell Case Files, Season 2, Justice for Joyce, and Season 3, The Search for Cherie. Listen anytime for free at kslpodcasts.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
The KSL News Radio movie show comes to My Hearing Centers Friday from 10 to 1. But first, discover what My Hearing Centers can do for you. My Hearing Centers uses advanced technology to diagnose and treat hearing loss. These comprehensive evaluations determine the best treatment options. Then enjoy lifetime support with regular check-ins, cleaning, and maintenance. Call My Hearing Centers at 801-701-1629. 801-701-1629 for more details. My Hearing Centers has offices from Ogden to St. George.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's MyStyle checking account with built-in benefits. Heather, what we got going on?
Well, we still have delays northbound I-15 through Farmington. This starts at the US 89 split and heads up toward Shepherd Lane. It's due to lane restrictions in the area, but it seems like it's easing up a little bit. There's still a crash southbound I-15 at the top of the on-ramp from Parish Lane in Centerville, but it's been moved all the way over to the right shoulder, no longer causing slowdowns. If you see something I haven't mentioned, let us know on the KSL Mountain Home Services text line at 57500. Murdoch Hyundai, home of 3.99% for 6 years on Santa Fe, Tucson, or Elantra. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, sunshine and 70 degrees today. About the same tomorrow and Thursday, but with some more clouds moving in. Right now it's sunny and 55 degrees. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories. On KSL News Radio, Dave and Dujanovic. Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top local story.
Well, you heard the news conference here. Well, actually, it was like an official announcement. It wasn't a news conference on Friday when the Miller family announced officially that they bought Real Salt Lake, our stellar soccer team that plays the field in Sandy there. But it looks now, according to KSL.com, Dave, it's something you and I were kind of talking about on Friday when the announcement was made. It's going to be more than just a stadium. It looks like they're going to lean into the entertainment district concept.
And sometimes when owners purchase, all they care about is the team. All they care about is the stadium and the stadium revenues. It looks like the Millers are looking to expand outside of that, and it's the perfect place for the Millers specifically. It makes perfect sense. Real plays on the west side of State Street, kind of 90th South, 94th South, directly east of where Real Salt Lake plays. They have Jordan Commons. Mm-hmm. They've got restaurants, they got movie theaters, they've got parking, they've got businesses, and they're missing a crosswalk, or they're missing maybe a bridge to connect the two.
A pedestrian bridge?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's kitty corner across State Street. And that intersection is busy because it's also got the Expo Center right there too, right?
Yep.
So KSL.com reporting that some of the key components would be transit, like connecting transit, maybe some retail, some restaurants, maybe some type of housing. It would be like condos. That's interesting. Hotels. This is ambitious because I'm thinking of that area. I'm like, where are you gonna put all that, right? And there is space because if you go back behind the stadium, I don't know who owns it. So sorry if you own that property. I'm like, I don't know. It's a parking lot back there. Well, maybe
it's an industrial area.
Yeah, there's some other businesses. I don't know where I park all the time. I just pay the attendant $10 and I go in the parking lot, and then I walk eastbound to State Street and then back northbound up to the stadium when I go to the soccer games. But think about all of that in that area right at where Real is. And I think with the ways people are so rabid about soccer in this community, I have been so impressed. I remember when my kids signed up for soccer, when they were little. I was like, I didn't know what had hit us. They're calling, what do you mean you have a spring season and a fall season? You know what I mean? These 5-year-olds are playing all these games. What do you mean they play in the snow? We talked about this last week with Amy Donaldson, who hosts a podcast, who works for KSL Podcast Now, Making of a Moment, which is all about Real Salt Lake and the transition of the team. If you haven't listened to that, I'm going to put in a plug in for Amy real quick. Please go listen to that. It is a phenomenal podcast. She's also been a sports reporter for the Deseret News for years. And she talked about it when she was heading to the news, the announcement on Friday about how this whole area could, really blossom, that it wasn't just about the games. It's not just about going to the games for the Miller family.
One thing I will say about the Millers is they see sports teams as a community asset, and they've always really tried to make something available to people who cannot afford to buy tickets. If you remember when the Jazz were playing in the finals, they put up big screen TVs out on the outside of the Delta Center, and that's where I covered that playoff run against the Bulls, was outside with people some of whom had never been inside the arena, but felt like they were part of this playoff run, because the Millers have always had this eye for how can everybody benefit from this, even if you don't go into the stadium and participate in the games.
And that's a crucial component for me, is to make sure that it is more than just the people that can afford to go to the games. You can build up a community. You can be a Jazz fan without going to Jazz games. And you want to have this community investment, which is why it makes sense to look outside of the stadium as well as inside.
Sandy City Mayor Monica Zoltansky on the line with us right now. And Mayor, it just seems like just a few months ago you were on the line talking to us about what is happening there at Southtown Mall at 106th and State Street with the Smith Entertainment Group going in and putting in the practice facilities there for the hockey club. And now here we are talking about the Miller family swooping in and buying into Real Salt Lake, and maybe a new design right there around State Street and 9400 South. So what's your vision for that area?
Well, good morning, Dave and Debbie. It's great to be with you. I think sports team owners know what we know in Sandy is. Sandy's a great place to do business, and Sandy is a sports city USA. So we are so excited with the new announcement that the Millers are investing big time in soccer in Sandy and the future of soccer. The synergy between the hockey rinks and the soccer stadium is phenomenal. You can't help but notice the support, not just from Sandy residents, but statewide for our local teams. And it's such great news for Sandy to be partnering at this level with the Millers, who, they've never left Sandy. Their headquarters are in Sandy. They have Jordan Commons. But Friday's announcement really felt like a homecoming, because they're such a respected family and so beloved in Sandy. And for them to invest on this huge scale is a great opportunity for business, for community building, and professional sports in Utah.
We've talked a fair amount about the downtown revitalization project, pouring money into the Delta Center, obviously redesigning certain blocks of downtown. It feels like, are we reading into this? Is this a little bit, maybe on a little smaller scale, but kind of the plan for what's going to happen in Sandy?
Well, Sandy's known as a well-planned and a well-run city, and we've been doing our part to build out our infrastructure and to do our proper planning to be ready for this opportunity. It's not just luck that this came to Sandy, these opportunities. We have been future planning for the Stadium Village. Stadium Master Plan was adopted in 2019. Last year, with the support of the legislature, there's an opportunity to create a pedestrian bridge over I-15 to connect Front Runner to the Sandy side. And so moving people in a way that doesn't rely on vehicles, building out our neighborhoods, but building out our city center, our Cairns district for sports, retail, entertainment, and transit, it's all part of it. So we've primed the pump in Sandy, and our business leaders recognize that.
Sandy Mayor Monica Zoltansky on the line with us right now, talking about Stadium Village Master Plan down in the Sandy City area after the announcement that the Miller family is buying Real Salt Lake, and what the future holds for that area where the stadium is now. And Mayor, I've got to know some information, like will there be more restaurants? Will there be condos? Will there be apartments? Will there be a concert venue like what they're doing out in Daybreak where I live next to the Bee Stadium? So you've got to tell us a little bit. Give us something to look forward to.
Yes, you can look forward to all of that. Retail, restaurants, walkability, trail connectivity, active transportation. This means billions in future economic development to the city, and this is going to keep our Sandy taxpayers very happy because our economy will strengthen as the team presence strengthens. Our Cairns district, just on January 7th, the City Council approved our general plan called Sandy Pace of Progress, and that lays out the vision for the entire district from Southtown Mall to 90th South. So all of that, townhomes, our height, our density, this is going to be happening in our city center in the Cairns district, and that achieves the balance where Sandy can create new, attainable and affordable housing for families to move to the city where they want to live, to be close to the canyons and our great lifestyle here in Sandy, but it also protects and preserves our single-family neighborhoods on the east side where people are already feel like they're built out and we've already maxed out development in our neighborhoods. So it achieves a really sensible balance between new growth, new investments, but you can expect hotels, retail, shopping, new modes of transportation, and a very happy future Sandy community as a result of this news.
Mayor, as we are having this conversation with one of our colleagues, Amy Donaldson, she was talking about the importance of safety. And I want to play a little bit of this soundbite for you, and then I want to pick your brain a little bit about the safety plans.
If they can make the community around it a much more safer place to walk. Like even downtown, there's times where just walking from a restaurant to the stadium, you just don't feel safe. And those are things they have to address. Like there has to be everybody thinks of restaurants, but there are all kinds of things and ways you could engage and benefit the community around there so that game day is actually game day. Like like you said, you're going there, you're doing a little Christmas shopping, and then you're going to dinner, and then you might take the kids bowling, and then they take tracks home or whatever. If you invest in the community around it, then you lift up and you change this trend that we've had in America of just building this billion-dollar stadium and making the stadium the only thing that makes money.
So, Mayor, what is the safety plan?
So if you've been to a Real game, you feel very safe walking from tracks to the stadium, parking your car. We don't have those experiences where you have to you come back to the parking lot and your window is smashed, or you get approached on the way to and from the stadium. Sandy is a very safe community, and ask any RSL fan or Royals fan how they feel in the stadium. And while we work closely with Major League Soccer and women's soccer to have the safety plan in and around the stadium, our Sandy officers are directing traffic. They're managing the crowds coming in as the stadium is loading in and out of the games. So the future of public safety is top priority for me as mayor. And as we manage larger crowd sizes, we will adapt our safety plan. But I'll tell you, Sandy is investing heavily in our safety infrastructure. Our new fire station 31, is being built right now, and we'll have our ribbon cutting for our main fire station on Monroe Street later this summer. And the reason we selected that location is because its proximity to the stadium. The new Monroe Street that's being built that will basically bring traffic right to the doorstep of the stadium, that's being cut in. The phase that's just west of the stadium is being built this year. So we are investing heavily in public safety, from traffic management, police, fire. We are on top of it, and we're thinking ahead already 20, 30 years, and that's why we're investing heavily in where we are in the city today.
Mayor Zoltansky, thank you so much for joining us. Sandy's mayor.
My pleasure.
We appreciate it, and we look forward to it. Right, this is very exciting. The announcement is huge. It's big. I do have a question though, Deb. I wonder if we have all of these developments, if we have the Bees out at Daybreak, and we've got the Jazz and the hockey club downtown, and we've got Real Salt Lake. How many stadiums and how many places are we going to have to go and develop? Because this is there's only so many dollars to be spent. And if you've got these huge investments, is there enough demand to populate downtown, Sandy, Daybreak?
It's not lost on me at all about the triangulation that is going on here. It is practically east to west in a straight line. So you've got the new Daybreak Bees Stadium, which comes equipped with a bowling alley and a movie theater and a concert venue and new restaurants that are slated to open up in the next couple of weeks, couple of months. So you've got AAA ball playing there. Then you head directly east to Sandy, maybe just a little jog north, and then you're right there at the soccer stadium, which will eventually have, and already does have, right, movie theaters and restaurants, but we'll have more, plus the Expo Center we've talked about, plus they'll add condos. By the way, Daybreak has tons of townhomes and homes out there as well, right? It's one of the fastest growing communities in Salt Lake County, certainly. So now you go over to Sandy and you have much of the same. And then at the tip of the triangle is the Delta Center and the development to the east of the Delta Center that's going to go in. More, townhomes, condos, probably condos, maybe apartments, restaurants. And you have three different sporting events, right? You have soccer, you have baseball, and you have basketball and hockey all in the Delta Center. So I think what you're going to see is fans that are wholly committed to hockey and basketball really learning to love the downtown concept and buying into that. And you're going to have fans like me, totally love baseball, who will be walking her way on a regular basis over to the Bees' new stadium. I don't know if I'll be bowling. The jury's still out on that. I'll have to figure out if I still have a little, 300 in me. But I'll definitely be hitting the movie and definitely hitting some of the lunch and dinner venues. And then you've got the people who are all in on soccer, and their kids are in on soccer. And it's not only the men's team, but the Millers also bought the women's team, the Royals. So I think that's what we're going to see, Dave, because I'll speak for myself, don't have enough dollars to go around and buy in each of these, tips of the triangle I'm talking about. And I'm not going to speak for you, but I would imagine money's a little bit thin when you talk about, I'm going to go to a basketball game on Tuesday night, and then Wednesday night I'm going to head out to Daybreak and walk over with Deb, and then on Thursday night we're going to go over to, and now what, $500, $600, $700, $800 in tickets and fun?
And then you start looking at what Major League Soccer is exploring, which is shifting the season.
Oh, that's right.
From spring to fall to spring. So if Major League Soccer does switch to this fall to spring schedule, they are now mirroring both basketball and hockey. So you've got basketball, hockey, and soccer all during the same season.
Will they have to play in a snowstorm?
Yeah.
You got to put a roof on that.
Probably. Yeah, probably.
I mean, it's not my money.
A heated field.
You gotta put a roof on that, right? Or something that's retractable.
Can we just stretch a big tarp over the top, guys?
That's what they have to do in Phoenix for the opposite reason.
Because it's too hot.
It's way too hot.
Tarping it.
Yeah, you can't put people in a stadium. At least I don't think you can. Maybe we used to. Back in the 70s and 80s, that's exactly what we did. We put kids in catcher's gear and on the ball field on 120-degree heat, and they give us these little cone cups for water, but we don't do that anymore. So I think in the wintertime, you're going to have to put a roof on that, right? I don't know how that works.
Question. That's a good question because we have – I don't know how it works. I don't know how it works in soccer.
Well, let's face it. In football, I see plenty of football games.
Oh, yeah.
NFL games.
They tough it out.
Yeah, in snowstorms and in blizzards, and everybody looks like they're having a great time. I haven't decided yet if that's my cup of tea yet. But what do you think about this, like the dollars, the sports dollars? And then we haven't even talked about the
Major League Baseball?
Hello.
Yeah. No,
Now we've got a rectangle.
We have 3 million people in Utah. I get it. We have 3 million people. But each one of these professional organizations needs huge corporate dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And although we are growing, we are not LA. We are not New York. We are not Boston. We are not Miami, right? These huge cities that have endless donors and support from the businesses. We have a limited amount of money. So although I'm excited about these all individually, I get nervous.
I don't know about that, Dave, because we brought the Olympics here and we had a lot of corporate sponsors.
Those were
during the
international
Olympics.
sponsors.
So you think that's just
we don't
like
get the international sponsors.
Okay.
It's largely in the community, funded by the community. So even though I'm excited, I'm optimistic. I can't go if I've got Major League Soccer, hockey, and the Jazz. How do I split up those Noriega dollars?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Well, one's going to eat and the other two aren't. Right? I'm going to have to choose one sport, or we'll spread our money out. A little here, a little there.
Which sport are you picking? Let me put you on the spot.
Jazz. Yeah,
you're picking the Jazz.
Yeah, I love the Jazz. I love the hockey. I'm becoming a bigger soccer fan, but hockey I've really enjoyed. But listen, I live and die by the Jazz, even when they're terrible, which they are right now.
I can vouch for that. Yeah, it's been a difficult few months.
Dave the Dark Cloud, getting angry every time they win a game. What are they doing? We are tanking.
Yeah, you usually save that for the after the show, All right. Thanks to the mayor for joining us. We're excited. I mean, the truth of the matter is we could be talking about something totally opposite, Dave, where it's like we're losing our sports teams. Nobody wants to play in Utah. We're not building up our communities. The opposite is true. We're attracting, new sports teams. We are on the verge of some great things in different corners of Salt Lake County. So I'm excited for it. And I will have to just figure out how I split up the Dujanovic dollars. Straight ahead, we've been talking about getting rid of pennies. Speaking of money, there is a theme to this show. Now we're talking about getting rid of nickels. Jay Evenson, opinion editor of the Deseret News, in the house next to tell us what the fate of the nickel is.
Emergency traffic brought to you by Mountain America. We have a jackknife semi southbound I-15 in Farmington. It's just before you go underneath the Park Lane overpass. The freeway is completely shut down there, so everyone's being forced to exit onto Legacy Parkway. Traffic is quickly backing up into Kaysville. If you don't want to have those delays, you want to exit at 200 North. Wasatch Front businesses and property managers, GoPave Utah provides all asphalt repairs for your parking. For patching and paving along the Wasatch Front, contact GoPave Utah, GoPaveUtah.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Jeff Kaplan. When I was a kid, my parents got me a subscription to Newsweek magazine. I would devour every page into the night. And to this day, I sit on my iPad looking for stories for my minute of news, flesh out our coverage, and I get to share the news with you.
Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News, 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
We've been telling you about Mountain Home Services, and I can tell you firsthand experience. They installed my furnace. They would come in and fix it up every year or two and make sure that it's humming along beautifully, and I was so happy. It was affordable, and it worked.
And you know me, Dave. I love my DIY projects. When it comes to painting and tiling, I don't touch electrical. Thankfully, Mountain Home Services is there to service all your electrical needs. They can also work on your air conditioning, maybe you need a new HVAC, and your plumbing.
Yeah, that's one call. You don't need to make 50 different calls. You have one person that you trust. You call them. They'll take care of your HVAC, as you said, the plumbing, electrical, everything. Just give them a call. Have them come out, give you a bid. And one of the best things about Mountain Home Services is they have this upfront pricing guarantee.
Which means there are no hidden fees. The price they quote you in the beginning of the job is the price you pay when the job is completed.
Call Mountain Home Services and ask them about the special offer for KSL listeners. MountainHomeservices.com is the website, MountainHomeservices.com.
And here's that phone number to ask about their special offer just for KSL listeners, 801-543-2222. Again, 801-543-2222.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-371-0505. 800-371-0505.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370, or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
For over 22 years, speaking on business on KSL News Radio has been a beloved tradition, celebrating our heroic business leaders and Utah consumers who have helped build one of the strongest state economies in the nation. Now, under the stewardship of the Salt Lake Chamber and hosted by Chamber President and CEO Derek Miller, the program continues to shine a spotlight on those who make Utah's business environment dynamic and thriving. With his expertise and passion, Derek brings the stories of our business community to life. As part of the Salt Lake Chamber, Speaking on Business is proud to continue its legacy of highlighting inspiring stories, trends, and special guests. Support Utah businesses now and be part of Utah's thriving economy. More information can be found at slchamber.com. That's slchamber.com.
1031 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. The jury in the Lori Vallow Daybell case in Arizona set to resume deliberations about 1 hour from now. They're trying to reach a verdict in a case where Daybell's accused of conspiring to kill her fourth husband, Charles Vallow. We'll be monitoring the court closely throughout the day, and we'll break in once a verdict is reached. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Secretary of Health and Human Services Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is expected to announce today he's calling on food manufacturers to phase out the use of 8 dyes in the food supply.
The FDA has oversight over the synthetic dye arena, and essentially they do review the science, but they say even though they review it, they can't be absolutely certain that there's no risk. Their official position is that while most children have no adverse effects, some children may be sensitive. The big problem here is that we just don't have the research.
Dr. Tara Narula says there are animal studies linking some of these dyes to cancer. Salt Lake City says they're bringing back the Open Streets program this summer. The event turns a portion of Main Street into a car-free zone on Fridays and Saturdays from 2 p.m. until 2 a.m. There'll be live music, art, and outdoor dining as part of the experience. Your money at this moment, the Dow up over 1,000 points, up to 39,250. Coming up, we've got sunshine today, clouds tomorrow, and as much as 75 degrees later in the week. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time 1032.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Everyone loves the look of granite countertops, but they aren't the only option.
When it's time to give your kitchen, bathroom, or basement a fresh new look, start at CountertopFactoryLLC.com. Countertop Factory offers high-quality laminate countertops that look amazing and cost just a third of the price of stone. Yeah, you heard that right. A third of the price. And these aren't your grandma's countertops. You'll get that luxurious look and feel without emptying your wallet. And with beautiful varieties of colors and patterns, it's easy to find something affordable and durable that fits your style perfectly. Countertop Factory installs most countertops in only 7 to 10 days from when they measure. That's faster than you can binge watch your favorite series. And it's not just countertops. At Countertop Factory, browse cabinet options to match your new countertops, all professionally installed to ensure everything looks flawless. From homes to offices to schools and hospitals. Get started 24/7 at CountertopFactoryLLC.com. That's CountertopFactoryLLC.com.
Emergency traffic on KSL News Radio, brought to you by Mountain America's MyStyle checking account with built-in benefits. What's going on, Heather?
We have the freeway shut down. This is southbound I-15 right at Legacy Parkway in Farmington. All traffic is forced to exit onto Legacy. It's all due to a jackknife semi that's blocking almost all the lanes of travel. Now, you can exit at Park Lane, which is right behind the Legacy exit, and then get right back on southbound 15 there. But traffic is already backed up well into Kaysville, so you may want to opt to exit at 200 North in Kaysville to avoid all the delays. Good news is we don't have too many other issues around the Wasatch Front. If you see something on the roadway, let us know at the KSL Mountain Home Services text line at 57500. Advanced Window Products offer Graber window coverings, high-end quality with the best warranty. Save 30% off when you mention KSL. AdvancedWindows.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, we should hit 70 degrees with lots of sunshine today. We do have more clouds moving in on Wednesday and Thursday, but temperatures will remain in the lower 70s. Right now it's sunny and 55 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Dave Vincent of the Deseret News in studio with us right now. Talk about one of his latest opinion pieces. It's entitled, "Forget Pennies, Do We Really Need Nickels?"
Not only are we going after the pennies, now nickels? What's next, Jay? Dimes?
Well, perhaps if inflation keeps going the way it is. I think nickels would be a lot easier than pennies because we don't have like songs written about nickels. There's no nickels from heaven. There's not a nickel for your thoughts. I mean,
there's Penny Lover. Remember that?
There you go.
Yeah.
There's no nickel lover.
No.
There's no nickel paramour. There's none of that.
So President Trump said he decreed the end to pennies. Actually, the president doesn't have that authority. the Constitution says it's Congress that coins money. But his argument was that it costs 3.69 cents to mint every single penny, and that we're losing money. And he's right. We're losing $85.3 million a year minting pennies. Now, the counter argument to that is once a penny gets out in circulation, it purchases a lot more than 3.69 cents in its lifetime, right? Well, nickels cost 13.78 cents per nickel to mint.
Of course they do.
That's a lot more. Now, those two denominations lose money. The dimes actually may cost less.
Do?
Something like 5 cents.
They're safe for now.
Dimes are tiny, but the materials, the metals that are used to make these coins are going up in price. They increased like 6% last year. So we may, down the road, be looking at doing away with dimes as well. The question I have is, will anyone notice? Who uses change anymore?
Did you find out? Is there any sort of statistic on, did somebody pick up a phone call actually when their cell phone rang and answered a survey about this?
Yes, as a matter. Wow. Yes, you're
I want to know
perceptive.
that one person, because every phone call I get that is not a recognized number goes right to voicemail. So
Right.
I got to hand it to these people.
No, it's true. It is hard being a pollster nowadays because you probably have to text first before you can call.
Yeah. So what did they say?
Difficult. But yes, this was a deposit accounts survey found that 66% of Americans say they don't always carry cash anymore. 61% said they used cash 5 or fewer times in the last month. And 30% haven't withdrawn anything from an ATM during the last month. So if we lost the pennies and the nickels, I'm not sure a lot of people would even notice.
Our sofas would.
Our sofas, our jars, our swear jars or whatever. I don't know what it costs now.
Swear jars are $1. Everyone knows that. Come on, Jay.
Inflation, you know.
Inflation on the profanity. I think what kind of surprises me is how quickly and how easily we've moved away from cash, whether it's debit cards, credit cards, or Venmo. You'll walk through, and if you go to a farmer's market, they all have their Venmo. Just Venmo me. Just Venmo me. We have become so digital, so coin-free and cash-free. The younger generation has become so. In fact, my kids will get money for birthday. They immediately hand me the $20, and I have to Venmo them to their account. Like they have no interest in cash.
Yeah, no, it's true. We're not using cash, and I think the COVID-19 pandemic kind of hastened that because suddenly there was a lot more shopping from home. Whether it's Amazon or whatever.
Well, in a lot of places, like even venues, went cashless.
Well, it became a health matter, right? Because
yeah.
money had germs on it, and so it was a good way to spread disease. And so,
remember when cash was like a badge of honor? Like, I'll pay cash for that.
Yeah.
And now I look at you, I'm like, I don't even know if they can count my change. Like maybe I'm asking too much, and I see cashiers stand there and kind of with the think bubble over their head, and I'm like, just count backwards. Let me help you. I used to be a bank teller. I can help with this. And it's like, oh, you're counting your own cash. It's interesting to me that 66% said what they haven't.
They don't always carry cash anymore.
So where I ran into a little bit of a jam, talked about this yesterday or last week on the radio on the show, is I developed a flat tire on my road trip, my recent road trip. It all ended okay, Jay. Obviously, I'm here, so it's all okay. But it wasn't just like a little bit of a leak. It was like, boom, it's just out, right? So here we are in Arizona. You know Arizona.
Been there.
Right? You and I both. Okay. So between nowhere and somewhere on the side of the freeway. And thankfully, the first question I think my daughter asked was, do you have AAA? And I said, well, no, I have something similar. So it was Toyota Care. Okay, it's not a big, it just came with my car. And it was great. They sent somebody right out. Well, here's the deal. Had I not carried cash, and I do when I'm on a road trip, not a lot of cash, just a little bit, I would not have been able to tip the guy who drove out in the tow truck to the middle of nowhere to change my tire.
Yeah.
And I did. I think I tipped him $40.
There are occasions when you need cash, and sometimes parking garages,
really?
Things like that. Well,
I don't have enough to go around, but that time I was glad that I had made the decision to get some cash.
Yeah.
It was totally on a whim. I do travel with some cash just in case, because honestly, you do. You're right. Maybe like a parking lot or something if you have to park for an event.
Right. The other statistic is that 38% of people said they ran into a business or establishment that wouldn't take cash or that wasn't equipped to take it. And
the Jazz.
Yeah.
The Jazz are cashless. If you want to buy a hot dog, got to swipe that card. I just wonder if you're not thinking big enough, Jay. You're talking pennies, we're talking nickels. Let's remove all cash, all pennies, all nickels, all together, and let's just go digital like our kids do. Like they've been able to do it. Why are we hanging on to this? Like I like the way it feels in my hands. I like it falling out of my pockets every time I sit down. Like you're thinking too small, buddy.
Well, you have to have some kind of currency backing up the money, right? There has to be.
Oh, you mean like that's an
like
economy
gold
thing?
Yeah, it is. Now you're kind of way above my ability to discuss intelligently. But, there are reasons why we can't go completely cashless. But we're certainly heading in that direction in terms of how we transact business, that it's mostly.
Okay, so let's not go so 30,000 foot up here, Dave, for our call question. Okay, let's get back to
just nickels.
Yeah, let's penny, find a penny, pick it up, the rest of the day. You have good luck. There's a value to pennies, right? I can give you my 2 cents. Straight ahead. Jay's going to stick around. We're going to give him a nickel to stay in studio.
Wow. Big tipper.
Yeah, big tipper. I'm sorry. I had to spend my $40 on the tow truck driver, changed my tires. So I don't have any more cash.
You could have given me 13 cents, which is how much it takes to make a nickel.
I'll give you my 2 cents after the break. We're going to get calls, wind up the calls. Please do not pull over and use a payphone for this because there are none to drop that quarter in. It used to be a dime. Remember that? Are you in the 66% who do not carry cash anymore? Are you in that 66%? 801-575-TALK. Let's take your live calls about coins next.
Emergency traffic brought to you by Mountain America, and traffic is pretty much stopped southbound 15 from the Kaysville Ponds all the way down to the Legacy Parkway merge in Farmington. It's due to a jackknife semi. Southbound 15 is shut down. Everyone forced to exit onto Legacy. You can get off at Park Lane and then get right back on the freeway, but with all the delays, you're better off getting off at 200 North. Wasatch Front businesses and property managers, GoPave Utah provides all asphalt repairs for your parking. For patching and paving along the Wasatch Front, contact GoPave Utah. GoPaveUtah.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Teens can get up to $200 with a Teen Learn and Earn account. Plus, continue earning rewards as they master the essentials of finance. More at cypresscu.com/teen.
Join the Greenhouse Show April 26th at Home Depot, Saratoga Springs for Olson's Container Fest. Pick your plants, bring any container, and Olson's will plant them up free at Home Depot locations.
If your water heater's over 10 to 15 years old, congratulations. You've beat the average. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I love hearing stories of people having water heaters that are really old and they're still doing their job. Unfortunately, most of us won't be that lucky. And when water heaters fail, it's usually in spectacularly inconvenient fashion. Whether it's an unexpected cold shower when we're already running late for work, or worse yet, coming home to a flooded basement, it's never fun. If you'd like to look into replacing your water heater before it fails, Any Hour Services is having a sale for any homeowners listening. Whether you're looking for a new tanked water heater or you want to see what upgrading to a tankless would cost, the plumbers at Any Hour Services can show you what options are available. And right now, you can save $400 on a tanked water heater or $1,200 on a tankless. If you think you might be interested, call Any Hour Services today and schedule your free estimate. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Have you gone cashless? Are you one of the 66% people who are surveyed who actually picked up the phone and answered this question that Jay Evenson from the Desert News has written about in his latest opinion piece? 801-575-TALK. Give us a call. Are you done carrying change in your pocket?
I like carrying cash because it keeps me on budget. This was something I learned about myself. I think cash is silly. It's just clumsy. You lose it. I don't need a pocket full of change. It's just the worst. But it keeps me on budget because for some reason I have a harder time handing over that cash than I do swiping that card. And the idea of getting rid of cash on some level, like pennies and nickels, if I never saw another penny, nickel, dime, quarter, half dollar, I don't need change anymore. We should have round numbers, and that's it. I hate change.
So, yes, just dollars, I guess, is what you're talking about.
Just
you
dollars.
You don't want quarters or half dollars or any of that.
That's not changing my life at all.
Well, the argument against that is that that would cause inflation, because when things cost less than $1 or a fraction of $1, they would just round up, right? So you'd be
round down, Jay. It should even out.
Yeah. You must live in a different world than I do, but yeah. So
his world is littered with roses and rainbows. No, just like taking off our rose-colored glasses here about cash and change and coins. You wrote about how expensive it is these days to make a nickel, and so the debate we've already talked about: do we delete the penny? And the nickel, it turns out, is does it cost more than a nickel to make it?
13.78 cents to make a nickel. Now, we don't mint as many nickels as we do pennies, so the mint loses $17.7 million a year on nickels. but 85.3 million on pennies. We have billions of pennies circulating.
So $100 million in cost or losses?
In loss, because they actually sell
so
money
at
face value to the Federal Reserve, but they make enough off of the other coins to make up for that deficit. So the mint is actually still making money.
How's the silver dollar doing? Does anybody know?
How much does it cost? Under $1.
I'm joking.
Under $1.
He's like, I have a bunch of silver dollars. My grandmother used to pay me in silver
Real
dollars.
silver, I bet. If it was your grandma.
As we're going to break, we were talking about how attached some people are to coins.
Yeah.
But 66% who answered the survey said they just don't even carry cash anymore. But there's some people out there who really love themselves some pennies and nickels.
That's true, but most of them are in jars. I don't think they're circulating in the economy like they once did. I think people don't know what to do with them. They put them in jars until they have enough, and they go to the bank and try to get some
Who
money
among us, let's be honest, has accidentally vacuumed up a penny and been like, oh, no, it happens.
That's half my vacuum. Are you
and
kidding?
been like, oh, well, easy come, easy go. Yeah. I am not digging through that pile of lint for that penny. And I actually feel guilty about that. Like, isn't it against the law to vacuum up a penny and then
I don't know,
take it out with the trash? Hi, Glenn. Do you carry cash anymore?
I carry cash all the time but never use it. I'm always using my credit cards because I get miles with my American Express and Marriott points with my Chase card. So I pay everything off at the end of the month, but I still like to have cash in my pocket for those unseen needs.
Yeah.
Glenn, that doesn't count. If you never use your cash, it's just a souvenir. It's like wearing a bracelet. It looks nice.
No, I think Glenn brings up a really good point because with a lot of these credit cards, you do have some cash back rewards. It doesn't make a lot of sense if you carry a balance every month on your card, but if you don't, that's worth more than having cash.
Hi, Mike. You stand with Dave. It sounds like you actually use do you use cash a lot or little?
Probably 60% of my transactions are in cash, and I come home every night. Well, not every night, but probably 70% of the time with a pocket full of change. And I've got an old water jug, 5-gallon water jug that I throw my change in. And I just took that to the bank last month because it was full. I had to get a dolly. And
a 5-gallon water jug of coins? How much did you get out of that?
There was $5,316 in there.
Wow. $5,300. You're
incredible.
The hoarder.
No,
Mike, you are the hoarder.
This is amazing. This is a great way to save money. Honestly, right? I mean, that you have a $5,000 savings account just like that, Mike. That's awesome.
So I started this about 9 years ago, I guess. And so what I do with that money is I just slam it into my savings account, and then that's my Christmas fund at the end of the year.
Well, it's going to be one awesome Christmas.
Jeez.
I bet the bank was really excited to see you come in.
That's incredible.
Just going to start dumping it out.
Mike, before we let you go, did you have to roll the coin still, or how did you lift it up into that machine?
I deal with a credit union that has a change machine in there.
Yeah,
and
we have the same credit union.
I make sure that there's one of the managers on duty that has a key because unfortunately, that machine only holds about $1,200, and they have to empty it. It puts it into tubes for them, and they just come in and pull the tubes out, put it in this little cart, put new tubes in there, lock it up, and away you go.
Mike, thanks so much. That's amazing. I love that. $5,300 in coins. But that's part of the problem, Jay, is circulation. This is what we do. We take our coins. I do the same thing. I don't have a 5-gallon water jug like you do. Mine's a piggy bank. His name's Mr. Pig. I've had him since I'm 9 years old. But that's what I use. But we don't circulate it.
No, we don't. And that then makes the cost of minting it even more important because we aren't circulating it. And, these are things we always taught our children, right? Save a penny and, it adds up over time.
Penny saved is a penny earned.
Right.
I've got all the puns today.
Well, it's part of our culture. So
Yeah.
what does that mean if we no longer make pennies?
Does anybody have time for my wheat penny sob story?
Let's hear it. I do. I'm here for
When
it.
Jay talked about hoarding pennies, some people are like really into pennies and nickels and dimes. I don't happen to be one of this, but I have a small collection of what I consider to be very, very valuable wheat pennies, and these are the ones that are minted like early 1900s, right? I mean, we're talking like 1900 whatever to 1950 something, and then. My husband, I guess was one of those things I just didn't communicate with him. It was in my jewelry drawer, all these wheat pennies. I think I'd gotten them from my grandpa, and over the years, when you get change back, you see that, there's a wheat penny. I'm going to save this. So our daughter was 2 or 3 years old, and she started doing awesome, tasks around the house or whatever, and the reward was Mama's wheat pennies. Yeah, which then she would carefully and with just a bundle of cuteness walk over to her huge piggy bank, which isn't a Mr. Pig. It's one of those baby bottles like you get at the baby shower,
There you go.
like massive, 3 feet tall, and she would dump it in there, and I had no idea that's where my wheat pennies were going. So we took it to the bank too, like Mike did. We didn't have $5,300 worth. But we had a few $100s worth by the time we processed that through the change machine, or we probably rolled all the pennies and nickels and dimes, and I had no idea. There went my wheat pennies. So the most valuable wheat penny that I'm seeing on this wheat penny value checker is a 1914 Red D wheat penny, near perfect condition. You know how much that thing is worth? $100,000.
So help me if she put $100,000
I don't
in
know. I
the
doubt it.
penny
A lot of them
gumballs.
are worth like hardly anything.
It's next to a cash register right now that says, take a penny, give a penny.
$100,000 wheat penny.
Hey, I would have settled for the one that's worth $43,000, or even the one that's worth $32,900. But I'm all out of wheat pennies.
Attention Utah residents, the tariffs are here and prices will be going up May 1st. Sound Warehouse is loaded in thousands of dollars in pre-tariff mobile audio video systems and more. Beat the tariffs at Sound Warehouse until the end of April. Marine, Harleys, and side-by-side audio. The entire inventory of Sound Warehouse at pre-tariff prices through the end of April. Salt Lake, Orem, and Ogden, or soundwarehouse.com. Rockin' Utah for over 46 years. The Warehouse. Sound Warehouse.
Everyone needs a checking account, so get the one with built-in benefits to complement your unique lifestyle. Mountain America's My Style Checking has perks no one can pass up. You'll enjoy sizzling restaurant deals, peace of mind mobile phone protection, timely telehealth access, built-in identity protection, and clutch loan rate discounts. Make My Style your lifestyle at Mountain America Credit Union. Visit macu.com/mystyle. Insured by NCUA. Membership required based on eligibility. Some benefits require no-cost registration or activation. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply.
Did you hear? A recent stash of $10 gold Liberty coins from the 1800s has been found. These gorgeous gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck in the late 1800s, and less than 200 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this gold find an incredible opportunity. Call 1-800-917-4635, and you are guaranteed a $10 gold Liberty coin minted by the U.S. Mint in the 1800s. But with extremely limited availability, you must call now. These gold Liberty coins from the 1800s are still in uncirculated condition. That is history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-917-4635. Call now and you'll receive a free American Coin Collector's Bonus Package, a $40 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-917-4635 now to secure your $10 gold Liberty coins dated from the 1800s before they sell out. That's 1-800-917-4635.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Replace stop, opt out. Consult a doctor prior
prior to use.
Wow, you look amazing. What have you been doing?
I'm sure you've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelty. If you qualify, their providers can prescribe medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1 medications that are 80 to 90% less expensive, all 100% online.
I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelty can provide semaglutide or tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, but for 80 to 90% less and shipped directly to your door.
How do I get started with Zelty?
Just send them a text.
Text SKINNY to 323232 to get started today with Zelty. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic, but for 80 to 90% less and 100% online. Don't wait. Text SKINNY to 323232 right now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text SKINNY to 323232. That's SKINNY to 323232. SKINNY to 323232.
COVID-19, brought to you by CDC and the Ad Council.
Managing today's uncertainty can be overwhelming. We crave security, and it's uncomfortable when we sense a lack of control over our lives. Develop a routine for a more balanced lifestyle with healthy habits and fun. Focus on what you can control, even if it's little things, like a before-bedtime ritual.
Find more self-care and coping tips at coping-19.org.
How does a soccer club, born in an unlikely place,
Utah? You sure you want to do that in Utah?
built with players no one else wanted,
We knew no one believed in us.
reach the league's highest heights?
We finally did it. It was like just this feeling of getting to the top of the mountain.
How does that same team find a way to shatter expectations in the midst of a fight for its own survival?
Our club is burning to the ground as we speak.
I'm Amy Donaldson, and in a new podcast, Making of a Moment, the RSL story, we take a closer look at one of those iconic sports moments
Soccer is a crazy game, and we saw it firsthand tonight.
and unravel how knowing the truth of these moments can transform what they mean.
I just kind of got chills right now thinking about it.
Making of a Moment, the RSL story, is available now. Follow us at makingamomentpod.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Jessica Lowell. KSL's top story this hour. We could eventually have an entertainment district around America First Field, similar to what's being developed around the Delta Center. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has details.
Are in the very early stages, but Sandy City's already proposed a new Stadium Village master plan to explore their options with things like enhancing access to trails, shopping, and dining around America First Field. Sandy Mayor Monica Zoltansky tells KSL.com she also envisions potentially housing and hotels in this area, but a lot of the decision-making will need to be made by the Miller family, who just purchased Real Salt Lake and the stadium.
The city is already working to build infrastructure and improve transit around the stadium. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Defense Secretary Hegseth insists he's not going anywhere following another report this week that he shared details of a planned U.S. strike with his family on a messaging app.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says the information he shared in the second reported signal chat with his wife, his brother, and his attorney amounted to coordination of talking points, and he told Fox News former members of his inner circle are responsible for propagating the story.
Those folks who were leaking, who have been pushed out of the building, are now attempting to leak and sabotage the president's agenda.
The men deny the charge and maintain they were loyal to Trump and to Hegseth. Two have said they'll sue for wrongful termination. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
Your money at this moment. Stocks in the green today with the hopes of a deal between the U.S. and China to help ease trade tensions. Dow up 1,000 points. Coming up, the latest on I-15 in Farmington. KSL traffic is next. KSL News Time 11:02.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Do you need new windows?
Look, all glass pretty much looks the same to the naked eye, but if your windows aren't triple-coated, argon-filled and sealed double-pane glass, the cold is seeping in. You need to call Advanced Window Products. They use the highest quality glass and premium vinyl to create state-of-the-art windows and frames, and for 38 years, they build those frames right here in Utah. Custom crafted for Utah's climate. The best windows you can buy at prices 30 and 40% less than what the big companies charge because they cut out the middleman. They're the factory. They even give you a lifetime warranty, and right now as we head into spring, save an extra $2,500 off 10 windows or more. Custom windows that'll give your house a fresh new look and save you money on your heating and air conditioning. Advanced Windows offers 60-month 0% financing, even buy now, pay later, and an extra $2,500 off. Call for a quote. 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
As a business owner looking to take your business to the next level, it's all about the right marketing. But what exactly is right for you? At KSL News Radio, we are ready to help you craft the perfect comprehensive strategy. Whether it's our powerful talent endorsements, engaging live interviews, creative production, live events, or our extensive digital platforms, we've got you covered with the right solution. Contact Stephanie Palmer today, spalmer@ksl.com, and let's grow your business together. Email spalmer@ksl.com.
Jeff Kaplan. When you're online, that's sometimes a source of fourth-hand information. Somebody does the reporting. Another website Googles, they find it, they rewrite it, and by the time you read it, you know the old game telephone. But KSL is a source of primary information. We have reporters on the street. They're out in the field finding out the details. And the difference between online and KSL News Radio, night and day.
Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News, 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, do it now. Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Emergency traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account with built-in benefits. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, I-15 southbound is shut down at Park Lane in Farmington. All traffic is being forced to exit at Legacy Parkway. This has traffic backed up all the way to 200 North exit in Kaysville. You're going to need to get off there if you want to avoid all the delays through the Kaysville and Farmington area. Northbound I-15 in the same stretch of Farmington is very slow due to lane restrictions. And be aware you may have some delays on Bangerter Highway northbound through South Jordan as a processional is planned very soon. Murdoch Chevrolet, home of 2.9% for 6 years on Silverado 1500. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
We're truly in the midst of spring right now. Highs in the 60s and 70s this week. A chance of some showers on Thursday. Right now it's 57 degrees and sunny. I'm Jessica Loa from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com, where Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio. Dave and Dujanovic, special coverage of the top national story.
Dave, the New York Times is reporting that behind the scenes at the White House, the Trump administration is kind of reaching for ideas to raise the birth rate in the country, which has been dropping. It's been dropping since 2007, according to what the Times is reporting. And one of those ideas they're floating around is a $5,000 baby bonus to be paid to new mothers.
Now we're talking $5,000 to have a kid. Now, do I think this is going to change anything? Like, should you be making a decision whether or not to have children because of the $5,000? No, of course not. But I'll tell you, that would have moved up the timeline for the Noriegas because we were trying to scrimp and save, trying to find every penny we could to have a kid.
My perspective about that before having children and making the decision to have children, contrasted with my perception now, or my experience now since raising all three of my kids, is $5,000 back in 1995 would have sounded like a boatload of money, you know. But the cost of raising kids was something that was completely foreign to me. I had no idea what I was in store for. And in fact, I remember walking out of specifically the Walmart in Midvale one day before I was going to have my first child. And I knew it was the day before because I was induced. we'd had some rough times during that pregnancy, and so they'd lined up my date for I got to be there at whatever 6 o'clock in the morning on whatever day of the week they chose, and they were going to put me on some Pitocin and induce me. So as I was leaving that Walmart, I thought to myself, after tomorrow, my life will be forever changed. I remember that, and I clearly there was some blue skies. It was July, and I had no idea within 48 hours exactly how my life would change. And for many reasons, it's changed for the better, of course. I love being a mom. But the financial end of this was not something we really thought much about and planned for. In fact, when I needed to go back to work, because I was a TV news reporter at the time, I was like, oh, daycare. Oh, at the time, it was $400 to $500 a month. That sounds really like a deal compared to the $1,000 to $1,300 a month now that parents of newborns are having to pay.
It is so incredibly expensive. I think if you think about it too long or too hard, you can talk yourself out of having kids because it is extremely expensive. You don't realize the cost of diapers. Did you know, I didn't realize this until recently, a can of formula is now $50. So there you go. Whatever you paid for when you were having kids 20 years ago, that was a bargain. Now it's $50.
And I took for granted, even in the days before Instagram and Facebook, where, new moms could post all of their success stories for the rest of the mothers that were not having success to see. I had no idea that breastfeeding would be a hurdle for me. It just did not happen at the rate my children needed to be fed. So therefore, we automatically had to turn to, is it Similac? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Similac. And it was not $50. But again, my children didn't need a specific kind of formula back then. So I don't know if they would have needed a specific kind of formula because sometimes they need one for allergies or no soy or whatever, what that would have cost. But I remember it putting a huge dent in the budget. We, of course, had no choice. I mean, we needed to feed our children, and they were not on solid food for quite some time. So that became an added expense. I tried the cloth diaper route thinking I would save us money. That was a disaster from the get-go. I didn't gag as much as it's just like the constant cleaning just did not work in 1996 the way it probably had to work for my grandmother and my mom who used cloth diapers. So we immediately ran to Huggies and Pampers and shopped all the sales and used all the coupons. But again, that added to the expense. That's just the tip of the iceberg. It goes on and on and on and on. And I think you're right. We would talk ourselves out of it. Cost of housing now for families that want to get into a home. Do they even qualify for a home? Are they going to be in a situation where they're forever renting and beholden to a landlord and the whims of price increases on leases and, inflation costs? And, you could go on and on and on. And already I could see where if I would have known all this, I would have said, time out. We have to rethink this. And instead, we have 3 kids.
And your life's better because of it. Two of them engaged to be married. I mean, it's a wild journey. But we have seen this huge change over the last 30 years. And Lois Collins is joining us right now from the Deseret News. You've done a fair amount of research on this, looking into fertility rates and how they've dropped. I just looked back to when I graduated from high school, and the fertility rate was 2.07 or whatever it is. It was every couple was having at least 2 kids. Well, that's not the case anymore.
Now we're having 1 2/3 kids.
1 2/3.
We're 1.62 is the national average. That is the birth rate, the total fertility rate in the United States. 2.1 per woman is the replacement rate that keeps the population stable. And by the way, your introduction makes me glad I never talked to you before I had kids, because I would not have had kids.
Well, I don't want to have that influence on anybody because it is such a personal decision, and it all worked out for us, and it's awesome. But I think, you can overthink it, and it is really expensive, and you've done a lot of research on that.
I think now you almost have to overthink it because things are a lot different than when I had kids or when you had kids or when you had kids. Housing prices are higher. Inflation has been a bear. Money has been a problem for a lot of people. The pandemic came along and also put people back in some ways from where they were before. So we may not have overthought it. We may have just thought it's time to have kids. But most of the young people I talk to, including my own daughters who are of the prime childbearing age, they are thinking about all these things. And they're thinking about their careers, and they're thinking about so many things. And it's interesting because it's becoming, in some parts of the world, a real crisis that population is so low, and the United States is worried about it.
When we talk about it, and when President Trump says he wants to be the fertilization president, he just said that last month. It's so funny. But why do politicians care about this? Why are they willing to give tax breaks and incentives? Can you speak to that a little bit? Because I look at it and I'm like, listen, they bring fullness to my life. I love having children. It was the best decision I made. But why do politicians care?
They bring future to your country, too. They are the economy. They're the engine that drives the economy. You have to have young people coming up, filling work positions, supporting the social safety net, getting educated, keeping colleges alive, buying your house when you're ready to retire. Without a population that is moving along, there really is no future for a country. Pretty soon you have more old people than young people, so it's an inverted pyramid of support. Economies dry up and stagnate. It's such a big issue that in Hungary, which is not the worst, by the way, by any means, Hungary was willing to spend 5% of its gross domestic product amount on trying to boost fertility because it's a crisis. It's a crisis. Places like, I think it's Korea has 0.7.
Wow.
Children. So they're so far below that they don't know how they're going to boost it. They would try anything. But the sad thing about it is that a lot of the efforts to boost fertility have not really shown a huge benefit.
Well, I look at this $5,000 and I don't say lightly what I said before about the expense.
No, I agree.
Because, and I'm not suggesting this is the only thing the Trump administration is looking at, but when you look at just $5,000 to a new mother after you have a baby, if that is indeed what they land on, it's just right now we're just talking about ideas that they're soliciting. You have to look at the other circumstances that face families after they have a newborn. And I'm not suggesting that babies aren't the best thing in the world. It's just the reality is
true.
You can't fix it with the cost of daycare with $5,000 up front.
And it's not all money either. It's policies. If you can't adjust your work schedule so that you can be a present parent. Tokyo just recently, the Tokyo government for its employees started offering a 4-workday week, figuring that families would have more time together. They would feel like they had more work-life balance and could deal with family life. You have to be able to take your kids to the doctor's appointments. If you work, you have to have childcare. You have to be able to feel like you could afford insurance if you have kids, because kids get sick. I mean, there's so many things that are also policy related. It's not just about money. But I can see why people are like, whoa, how do we do this? Because when I was in the middle of it, it was, how do I do this? When I first learned I was pregnant, I had to immediately go find childcare. 9 months out, and I still had to go find childcare because people I knew who waited didn't have childcare. And people called me. I signed up for a couple of daycare places that actually called me back when my kid was a year old and said, we now have an opening. And it's like, that's great. Never mind. We just did something else. But it's a challenge, and you have to be realistic about it.
You described it beautifully about the importance and the political reasoning behind having children. I also think we have a major marketing campaign issue with children. I think as parents, we carry the burden. We have the responsibility. We have to earn, provide. Debbie, you were saying it. Mommy, I'm not feeling good. In the middle of the night, we're sleep deprived, all these things. It's very difficult to tell people or explain to people the love of a child until they've had one and the happiness it brings. The example I used, I love sports. I thought I would despise T-ball. 6-year-old T-ball is one of the funniest things you've ever seen. It's hilarious to watch. I would never be interested in that unless I had a child. And then it has expanded my horizon, the things that I love, the things that I find interesting or funny because of children. And I think it's very easy for us as parents to get sucked into the negativity or the downside of parenting. And it's almost impossible to describe the love and the benefits of it.
How many times as a parent did you tell your child, knock that off, now you're not going to be able to do thus and such, and then you went into your bedroom and shut the door and bit your pillow so the kid couldn't hear you laughing because it was so delightful and joyful and awful at the same time. I mean, parenting to me I didn't understand really life until I became a parent in so many ways.
Yeah.
And I think we can incentivize it with $5,000 here or an ad and a marketing campaign there. And I just think we look at it and we want to throw money at a problem because we're like, it's expensive. Dollars will fix it, right? When I think what fixes it, if we really are interested in making sure that, we're having kids, is let people realize, you know what, it's not as bad as we're making it sound.
But I think to your point, Lois, earlier, it's like we have to be able to leave work when your child is running 101-degree fever without getting, told by your boss you got to sit at your desk.
Yep.
You have to be able to find appropriate daycare and safe daycare for your child and it's like every mom or dad for themselves, when you learn that you're pregnant and you have to find daycare, we're all scrambling to find the same scarce resource. It's like we're all looking for that needle in a haystack. And if we don't have any help with that, it is difficult to get through those moments and be like, oh, yes, this is so joyful all the time.
Well, and there has been sort of an attitudinal shift among some workplaces, not all of them, but sort of this, prove to me you're loyal to me, be available 24/7, don't ever be off the clock. If you ignore my call, you're in trouble. How dare you take your kid boating on a Saturday?
This is how my life was. My kids will tell you this is exactly how their life was.
Our careers are
very
careers are demanding, and we don't set our time schedule because news does. It's just the way it works. But the world, if they really want more kids, I think the world has to say kids are really valuable. And we want to help all kids flourish, and we want to make it possible for you to have kids. And this, if there was ever a case of a rising tide lifts all boats, it's families. We need to help families be able to manage this for the good of all of us.
One of the fears that I have is we have become so independent and so isolated, we are no longer the community where we have access to friends and neighbors of, hey, I need you to kind of keep an eye out for my kid when they come home from school, you're home, and this back and forth of helping each other, the village raising a child. I think we've moved away from that culturally.
I think we have too, and I think in some neighborhoods, it's if you need my help to kind of keep an eye on your kid, maybe I should just call social services and let them keep an eye on your kid. I think people to some degree are afraid to be vulnerable and ask for any help.
Dave and I talking with Lois Collins of the Deseret News, and Lois has done so much coverage on families and birth rates and the cost of having kids that she was we felt like the perfect person to invite to this conversation. The New York Times reporting that President Trump's his aides are trying to come up with ideas to raise the birth rate in the nation, and one of the things they're considering or kind of tossing around is this $5,000 baby bonus. And what I become concerned about when I see dollar signs, and Dave's like, I think you bring up a good point. Why do we always have to throw dollars and money at everything? Let's throw another 1,000 at this or another 10,000 at that. is that we start incentivizing people for the wrong reasons to have babies. But Dave doesn't think $5,000 is enough. You said that earlier in the show. That's really enough for people to go out and have a kid.
I
for $5,000.
I do think that we have shown that making families a little bit more financially sound is really good for kids. We saw what happened when there was some help during the pandemic when the child tax credit was raised slightly, not very much, and it was paid monthly, and 20 million kids left poverty in that moment. So I do think
yet that went away.
It did
right?
go away, and they're back down in poverty. And maybe this isn't sustainable, but I do think that anything you do that's a family-friendly policy, ultimately, will it solve fertility? Probably not, because there are 50,000 different things kind of vying at the same time to create this issue. But anything that helps families out, I think, and whether it's policy or attitudes or helping each other out, is going to be good in terms of letting people feel like they could handle parenthood.
Another thing that comes to my mind, and I think I'm looking in the mirror, is what kind of behavior am I modeling for my children? Do they see the joy they bring me, or do they see that you're stressing me out, kids? You're costing me money.
That's a great
right?
point.
Or if every time they encounter me, I can show and display my love, they realize, oh, Dad loves being a parent. Maybe I'll love being a parent.
That's a real true point, actually. If your kids felt like they were a burden, why would they want to take on the burden of having kids themselves?
Lois, thank you so much for joining. It's a fascinating conversation. I'm just fascinated because I see the political issue on it. We need more kids. We need this. I get it. But $5,000, it is a drop in the bucket to what kids cost. The latest estimation is it costs $300,000 to raise a kid from birth to adulthood.
But you don't have to do it all at once.
That's true.
And you don't have to spend it all at once.
But Lois, I want to just go back to something you just said. And it's like and Dave, you pointed out, we may be the best example of why parenting, it works.
Maybe.
And you said, if we're modeling like, again, why are you calling me? If we're saying that to our children, or what do you mean you need another $50? Or what do you mean what message is that sending them? And I thought you just actually, I'm going to go back and listen to this on the podcast, because I think that moment is just what you just said is so important. Yeah. We can be the first ones through the wall on this, right? In terms of modeling for our kids on how to parent. So thanks, Lois, as always.
Always
Great
a
work.
pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great stuff, Lois. Thank you.
Emergency traffic brought to you by Mountain America. We have 5 miles of stopped traffic southbound I-15 just after Layton Parkway in Layton, all the way down to the Legacy Parkway exit in Farmington. The freeway is shut down due to a jackknife semi-truck. All traffic forced to exit onto Legacy Parkway. So you're going to have to find alternate routes to get into Davis County or through Davis County. Wasatch Front businesses and property managers, GoPave Utah provides all asphalt repairs for your parking. For patching and paving along the Wasatch Front, contact GoPave Utah. GoPaveUtah.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
911, emergency.
They kidnapped my son.
What would you do if your child disappeared and someone you trusted was responsible?
We thought he cared for McKay, when in fact he didn't care for anyone.
Listen to Ransom now at ransompodcast.com.
One of the best things about Advanced Garage Doors, you now have somebody to call if something goes wrong.
Yeah, what's really great about it is they're also offering some great listener specials right now. So let's start here. The free garage door opener when you purchase a garage door, a free garage door inspection with no obligation, and $100 off any parts needed for a repair.
I chuckle every time you say free garage door inspection because I didn't know those things existed. I had no idea I was supposed to have my garage door inspected, but it makes all the sense in the world. They're going to come out. They're going to make sure that your rollers are moving smoothly, that the spring is in good condition, that your garage door is balanced. It should not sound like a tank crossing the battlefield every time you open up your garage door. They can fix that, folks.
And I think what's really awesome, too, is, you go to their website, you can design your garage door, like the one that perfectly fits your home and adds to your curb appeal. And you get a lifetime warranty that includes labor as long as you follow their recommendations.
Financing is available as well. Make sure you reach out to Advanced Garage Doors by going to their website, advanced-door.com. That's advanced-door.com.
Or give them a call and make sure you follow up and ask them about that KSL listener special that Dave and I have been telling you about. 801-989-3667, 801-989-DOOR.
And now, the moment we've all been waiting for.
It's time to spring into summer with Soda Weight Loss, because right now you'll get our biggest discount of the year.
Are you serious?
Just 3 weeks in, and the pounds are dropping off very quickly. I am down 26 pounds in 3 weeks.
Every single day, Soda Weight Loss is helping people let go of the weight without drugs, without hunger, and the weight stays off.
I let go of 50 pounds. It felt unreal. I was so proud of myself. My body did exactly what it wanted to do. I just gave it its tools.
Let's spring into summer right now with Soda Weight Loss. If you want to look like this for summer, now is the time to join America's #1 weight loss company for client satisfaction and results.
Remember, this is our best offer of the year, so let's go.
Get started now at sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
It's Jeff Jr. from Trajan Wealth, and I've got something important to talk to you about, your 401k. If you have changed jobs, there are two very important considerations. You don't want to leave your 401k behind, and you don't want to roll it over into your new company plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. 401ks will often have limited investments or age-based options. Since companies have to make choices to suit all employees, they may not be suited to you, which could cost you fees and money. When you roll over your 401k into an IRA, you not only keep your money growing tax deferred, but you also gain access to a world of investment options specifically designed for you. Trajan Wealth and our fiduciary advisors have helped thousands, and we can do the same for you. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. 801-899-7600.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
What up, fellow Gen Xers? Elizabeth Banks here. As the original Latchkey kids, we took things into our own hands, like house keys and video game controllers. And now it's time for us to do it again, because the recommended age to get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia has been lowered to 50 and older, even if you're healthy. We're at over 6 times greater risk compared to adults under 50. So go to vaxassist.com and schedule. Gen X, this is our shot. Sponsored by Pfizer.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top local story this hour. Nearly 50% of Americans say not only can they not reach their financial goals, they've given up trying. KSL News Radio's Heather Kelly has details.
A new study from Talker Research finds money worries are affecting all age groups, but Gen X appears hardest hit. Not only is the amount of money they're saving on the decline, they feel they aren't getting support from the banks they are using with where to keep their money, so they're very discouraged.
Financial advisors say you don't have to reach your final goal all at once. Moving very small amounts of money each week or month is the best way to create the habit of saving. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The State Department has announced an overhaul of the department, including the elimination of some offices and bureaus.
This approach will empower the department from the ground up, from the bureaus to the embassies. Region-specific functions will be consolidated to increase functionality. Redundant offices will be removed, and non-statutory programs that are misaligned with America's core national interests will cease to exist.
State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce there. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 627 points, the S&P is up 79. And coming up, sunny skies and a high of 70. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:32.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
This is Christian Staples with Arctic Spas. Summer is coming and your family wants to enjoy water in an Arctic Spa all-weather pool. Some people call them swim spas, but we call them all-weather pools because it's like a swimming pool that you can use all year long. My family has a tradition of hanging out in our all-weather pool and watching the neighborhood fireworks on New Year's Eve. You can create that family fun time right now with an Arctic Spa all-weather pool in just 2 days for installation. All the fun without the hassle of pool maintenance. Add in our automatic saltwater system to make it even more comfortable and more convenient. With 8 different models with different jet packages and options, specifically designed for Utah's hot summers and cold winters, we have the perfect all-weather pool for you, no matter your budget. Come see the Arctic Spa all-weather pools at one of our Arctic Spa stores covering all of Utah in Salt Lake, American Fork, or St. George, and online at arcticspasutah.com. Arctic Spas, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate.
Emergency traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account with built-in benefits. Here's Ricky Meeks.
Just a mess in Davis County on I-15, where we've had a crash resulting in a jackknife semi and other vehicles involved that has closed southbound I-15. This is near Park Lane in Farmington. Northbound getting by, but there are lane restrictions, so slowing there. But with this closure, we have several miles of traffic stacked up and backed up, and you're not going anywhere. You need to avoid southbound I-15 from the Layton Hills Mall all the way down to Lagoon. Highway 89 or West Davis Highway is a much better option. And then if you see big black plumes of smoke in the air in the Weber County area near Ogden Bay, that is a controlled burn, so be aware that news agencies and 911 are aware of this. It is not out of control. They are on top of it, but you will see a lot of black smoke. If you're trying to go southbound on I-15 in Davis County, do plan ahead and take an alternate route. And of course, if you see something happening in traffic, you can always text us at 57500. That's the KSL Mountain Home Services text line. Break your routine and get into adventure in Cedar City, Bryan Head. Connected to nature, Cedar City makes spring the best break ever. Shopping, dining, and recreation galore. Break up your adventure. Visit cedarcity.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high of 70 with sunny skies today. Clouds move in tomorrow, but temperatures stay in the 70s heading into the weekend. Right now it is 57 and sunny. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
When I saw this story, I'm like, guilty, and I know you are too. We're hoarding our old smartphones and devices. I found one in the junk drawer in the kitchen the other day. It's a smartphone that hasn't worked in years because we don't know what in the world to do with these things.
I have so many iPods.
Oh, iPods.
I have every iPod known to man. I have iPod Shuffle, iPod Mini, iPod Video.
The 1990s called.
It is totally. These are so old, outdated. Haven't used them for years.
Do they work?
Yes, they still work.
Really?
Barely, because the chargers have all changed. So now I can't even charge it up. 9-pin Apple. Honey, do we still have one of those? I don't know why I will not get rid of these things. Probably in part because I don't know how. Do you just throw them in the garbage?
No. You're supposed to. I think you're supposed to. We're going to learn more from CNET in just a moment. You're supposed to trade them in. But I've seen these machines where you can trade in smartphones at some stores at machines, and I'm like, do I dare? I mean, what does that work out? How does that work out? How much money do I get back? So I just don't. I just stash it back. I have an old iPhone and an old BlackBerry.
Here's a problem I have with turning over my old phones. I'm not entirely certain, did I erase everything on there? If it stopped working,
right.
It's a security issue for me.
Right.
So I'm hesitant to do it because oftentimes when a phone stops working, I don't know why, but I'm sure the data is still on the hard drive. If someone wanted to, this is what I'm building up in my brain.
I agree.
Someone could peel it apart and access my information, and it has my banking information, so I just hang on to it.
Well, and the phone that I so eloquently dropped from my ear in the newsroom one day just hit the carpet, and we're all like, oh, nothing happened. And no, it just went to black. I'm like, it has stuff on there. I just don't. So it sits in that junk drawer. At the CNET survey, we're going to speak to an expert in just a moment from CNET, says that more than like 3 in 10 adults in this nation are exactly like you and actually like me. We're not sure what to do with these devices when we no longer use them, or like they're sitting in our drawer and they never charge up again.
We're 2 out of the 3 out of 10. Yeah, it's probably even higher than that, right? So joining us right now, Daisha Milden from CNN Consumer Insights editor. Daisha, give us a little bit of an idea. Okay, how big of a problem is this? I don't know. You got to admit, do you have a stack of BlackBerries and like iPods?
You know what? I actually do have 2 iPhones, 1 iPad, and 2 iPods. So I am right there with you guys, honestly. I am guilty myself. So it is a big deal. About 31% of U.S. adults are still holding on to old tech devices. And the main reason is because they don't know what to do with them. And that can be tough when you start thinking about your data, or even just thinking about how much money you really can get back, if anything. So there are a lot of ways that you can safely dispose of your old tech. And, it's one of those things that you have to just do your research in advance. And if you want money for it, definitely seeing how you can maximize that value.
So, Daisha, what are some of your best tips to give people like Dave and I who have these things stashed in our kitchen drawers?
Yeah, well, if I were, let's say, needing to just say it's an older device that I'm going to say is maybe a few years old, really doesn't have a lot of trade-in value, probably not that useful anymore, going back to some of your examples that maybe you cracked your screen or maybe it doesn't work, recycling it is really the best way. And there are a few ways that you can do that. There are some recycling programs at places like Staples and Best Buy. I recommend calling before you drop off your old tech there just to make sure it's accepted. Any questions in terms of qualifications or anything of that sort. Also just understanding how it works. And if you are just looking at just trashing that, I would highly recommend checking to see what the laws are in your state. There are some laws that actually do prohibit you just throwing your tech in the trash can. So my recommendation, especially if you're not trying to get any money out of it, recycle, find somewhere that you feel really comfortable with in your neighborhood. And sometimes you can go through your utility provider, such as maybe your trash company, and see what they have available so that you can safely recycle your tech.
Does recycling cost?
It depends on the item. So the bigger items, you may have to pay a few bucks. For example, there are some bigger items that Staples does allow, and it starts at $19.99, for example. But usually for smartphones and iPads, those can be recycled pretty much free of charge. I would shop around and compare and see what options are available. And again, going back to checking with your trash company or seeing what options your department in your city actually offers, because sometimes they do, especially around days like today when it's Earth Day.
That's true. Oh, we're speaking with Daisha Milden of CNET. She's a Consumer Insights editor, and we're talking about like the old devices and what to do with them. And I'm reading through one of the tips regarding like game consoles, and I think this is really important given, or the timing is perfect given that the Nintendo Switch 2 pre-sales opened up again for these, and it seems like maybe there's some outlets there to either sell your old Nintendo console or maybe you just give it away to a friend.
Yeah, you can see about selling your old console, and thinking about when you sell your old console, also selling your games and accessories too. That can boost that value, right? So thinking about where you want to sell it, I would recommend shopping around, seeing exactly how much the console is being sold, from other sellers that are looking at getting rid of their consoles, seeing what they're offering. Are they offering any special offers on games or even accessories, or does yours maybe have more storage, data storage compatibility? There's a lot to consider when factoring in that price. Our experts also just thinking about the resale value of what that looks like too. So how rare they are, how rare your game is, how rare the games are, just thinking about all of that when determining that price, and then seeing what works for you. And if not, if you don't feel like it's quite fair, again, safely recycling it is another option.
Daisha, thank you so much for joining us. Daisha Milton, CNET Consumer Insights Editor. And let me just throw a little asterisk as well. If you are going to give out your console or pass it down, a lot of times these things carry your credit card information, your profile information. So
keep talking, absolutely.
Make sure, and for your cell phones as well, even when you're recycling, make sure that that information has been wiped clean, that they don't have access to it, because there's a lot of data. A lot of our lives are on our phones and in our gaming devices even.
Big mistake I've never admitted to you that I made is when I moved, my television, sadly, it was old anyway, but the screen cracked, the flat screen TV, and I was just, it didn't matter if it's old, 11 years old, 12 years old, something's still working, I'm going to put it back on the wall. Well, the screen cracked in the move. Okay, well, they took it away, and I said, take it away. I don't know. What can I do with this thing at this point? And I've gotten a good dozen years worth of use out of it. Guess what I left in the side?
What's that?
The Roku stick.
With all your information?
Yes. The Roku stick.
Oh, you're not alone,
and I did
Deb.
not figure it out for the longest time. I left. So, yeah, there's that, too.
Emergency traffic on KSL News Radio, brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account with built-in benefits. Very good news for Davis County drivers. They have opened up all lanes of travel southbound I-15 near Park Lane in Farmington, where we had the earlier crash. And right now, it looks like traffic is starting to move through. However, we still have several miles of residual delays. It is still going to take quite some time for this backup to clear out. So if you want to consider avoiding southbound I-15 between Layton Hills Mall and Lagoon, that's still an option and a pretty good idea. But the best news is that the freeway is now open in Farmington. Wasatch Front businesses and property managers. GoPave Utah provides all asphalt repairs for your parking. For patching and paving along the Wasatch Front, contact GoPave Utah. GoPave Utah. GoPaveUtah.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Circle Salt Lake has a mission to reduce poverty throughout Salt Lake County by building bridges of friendship and community. These connections support individuals and families on their journey from merely surviving to truly thriving. Executive Director and Regional Coach Michelle Crawford joins us with more.
At Circle Salt Lake, we believe no one should face poverty alone. We bring together people working to escape poverty and those eager to help, fostering real, supportive relationships that lead to lasting change. Since 2017, we've been building a community where individuals don't just make it through, but truly flourish. It's about self-sufficiency and, just as importantly, social capital. When people feel seen, heard, and supported, they can achieve their goals. We are proud to be a part of a statewide movement focused on lifting each other up. Poverty isn't just an individual problem, it's a community challenge. Together, we can end it. By building bridges of friendship and support, Circle Salt Lake helps families progress toward long-term success and stability. We are committed to providing the tools, resources, and networks needed to help individuals and families achieve lasting economic stability. Learn more or get involved at circlesaltlake.org.
Circle Salt Lake plays a crucial role in strengthening the community by helping break the cycle of poverty. Visit their website to learn more or consider making a donation to support their mission. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Get a head start on the warmer months ahead with a $29 AC tune-up from Yes Air Conditioning, Heating, Plumbing, and Electric. Yes offers licensed technicians and an exceptional service guarantee to give you peace of mind and help prevent expensive breakdowns. Ensure your system is working at peak efficiency and help save money on energy costs with a $29 AC tune-up from Yes Air Conditioning, Heating, Plumbing, and Electric. Call now or visit theyesmancan.com for details, terms, and conditions. Just say yes.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Let's talk about Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem's purse getting stolen while she was dining at a restaurant in D.C. with her family. And look, my first reaction to this is I've in 7th grade I had my purse stolen, and it's like a memory I'll never unsee because it feels horrible. So I felt badly for her. And then I started reading through this article on CBS.com, CBSNews.com, Dave. I'm like, she had what in her purse? She had what? Like, I'm lucky to scrape a paperclip off the bottom of my purse. Maybe an old pen. We're going to go over what she had in her purse in just a moment. But have you ever had anything stolen, and how did it make you feel?
Okay, first of all, I think everything's been stolen. I don't think I've lost anything. And my wife's like, you just lost it. I'm like, I had my wallet stolen.
Remember when we were first together on this show, and I learned that, yeah, you were a frequent flyer when it came to, quote-unquote, stolen wallets?
I don't know. I'm sure.
And the thief, just an amazing, stealthy thief, would leave it in his top drawer on his desk.
Oh, I think this is so relatable, right? Yeah. Even though we think, oh, Kristi Noem, the Homeland Security Secretary. Oh, you lose stuff too? Or you have stuff stolen and no one believes you? Like, this is just so relatable.
The one thing, Dave, I thought when I first read the story, just read the headline, didn't see the details, is, oh, she must have left it hanging over the back of her chair, right? I mean, I'm the kind of purse-carrying woman, and it's like, I'll be honest with you, I resent having to carry a purse. I'd gone to the weekend on the fanny pack thing. In fact, I showed up here one day a few weeks ago without my driver license, and you're like, how's that happen? And I said, because I switched to a fanny pack on the weekend because I don't want to drag a purse along because I have to clip it in the grocery cart, make sure nobody runs off with it. The wild thing about this is that she didn't have it on the back of her chair because that's initially what I thought. I was like, nah. You know, you have that happen once where somebody swipes it off the back of your chair at a restaurant and they take off with it. No, it was between her feet, like right where I would have put my purse too, you know? So I was like, oh, apparently somebody sneaks in. I don't know what kind of a mask they had on, maybe like a surgical mask or something like that. She has Secret Service too. And they get under the table and they make off with her. They have a video of it. I think it's a man. Getting the purse and swiping it and taking off out of the restaurant with it. She's at a burger joint in D.C.
Secret Service couldn't hit water if they fell out a boat right now. Like somebody's crawling underneath, grabs the purse from the Secretary of Homeland Security. You have no idea what's in that purse of hers. Does she have classified documents? I don't know. But sure enough, they swipe that purse and they take off. This is so relatable, though, because we've all had something stolen, whether we want to admit it or not.
Yeah.
But I had a coworker that had his iPhone sitting right next to him. He's eating dinner. He's actually he's overseas on assignment, and someone just runs past, like barely breaks stride, grabs his phone and takes off. He's like, I had no chance. This 15-year-old. Had the phone and gone from view in a heartbeat.
And then didn't you have your gym bag stolen out of your car?
I had my gym bag stolen out of my car, out of my smart car. Not happy about that. I mean, come on. Take pity upon the guy that drives a smart car. And then, speaking of stealing purses, my daughter was serving a mission in Paraguay, and her companion was carrying a purse over her shoulder. Two dudes drive up right to the side of her on a motorcycle, Vespa, whatever, and jump off, cut the strap, and then take off
with kitchen scissors.
No, it was a knife. Yeah,
oh,
grabbed a knife.
Either way, it's scary.
Yeah, cut it right
off of
her.
It's brazen.
Punched her, knocked her down, and then they drove off.
Is she okay?
Yeah, I mean, rattled.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah, very much.
Well, it's emotionally upsetting. Yeah, and wow, that's really brazen. I've believe it or not, as a reporter, I covered purse snatching stories. I remember the story. It was somewhere west of I-15. Might have been Kearns, might have been Taylorsville, might have been West Valley City. It was one afternoon. A woman had her purse snatched while she was walking out of a store by somebody who was driving by. And I think she actually got hurt, if I recall. And this is 20 years ago that I was out there covering that story where she got maybe dragged by the car.
Oh, wow.
Recalling. Yeah. So, yeah, purses are hot commodities because we just carry so much, and we carry your stuff in it, too. You're welcome. Like, I don't know how many driver licenses and wallets of family members I've hauled around. Water bottles. Mom, can you put this in your purse? I have a back injury because of my purse, a shoulder ache because of my purse. But Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem admitted this when she was asked about it. Yeah, it was stolen, which I'm like, hats off to you for saying, yeah, this happened. So now it's out there in the media. Here's what was in her purse. Not a surprise. Driver license. Of course, we all carry driver passport. You pointed out she travels around the world. Makes sense that she has her passport in there. But, man, what a bummer to have that stolen. Now your whole identity is potentially out there, depending on what the MO is, right? I mean, you don't know what their motive is here. You know, I mean, you know what their MO is. Well, maybe you don't. Totally. You know, they swiped it, but you don't know what the motive is. But now her driver license is gone, her passport is gone, and her Homeland Security access badge was swiped too because it was in the purse.
Well, and you say you don't know who this could have been or who could. This very well could have been a foreign agent, right? This maybe could be more nefarious than just somebody grabbing, didn't realize who she was. You know, I wonder if this is spies from another country that are targeting and say, let's see what we can get.
Or it could just be somebody trying to make it to payday.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah, you just don't know.
You don't know. I mean, we'll figure it out once. The Secret Service is on it, Dave. I mean, I'm sure. Hopefully they catch the person, because I am curious to know, like, what was your reason for reaching under the table there, which is odd because usually if it's somebody just trying to make it to payday, it's more opportunistic, right?
Yeah.
It's just easy. It's right there. Like, you know, you said your colleague got their phone swiped. It was just, it was easy. They didn't have to crawl under or reach in their pocket and pickpocket them or anything like that. Here's a... Oh, so
$3,000 in cash,
she had $3,000 in cash, and they said the reason was because their whole family was in town for the Easter holiday, and she was treating her family to a celebration. I'm like,
I carry $40.
Yeah,
I'll buy sodas on Dad.
In cash.
$3,000.
I'm like, Venmo, use that Venmo. Like, I think she'd actually just maybe taken that money out of the bank, and she was gonna. So I don't know, you know, treating them to gifts and food and burgers and all the things. $3,000 in cash. I do not carry that much cash, ever. Checks. I was like, checks? The 1980s called. I mean, checks. Who writes a check anymore? Yeah, if that's a checkbook, you need to, don't no more of that. We're not writing checks anymore.
I'm just saying her security detail.
Makeup, I get.
Come on, guys.
And honestly, like, makeup, you're not gonna resell that, but that's gonna put somebody out hundreds of dollars potentially. Medication's gone. Who knows where that ends up? And credit cards. Man, you are on the phone immediately canceling all your credit cards. And here's the trick that I've learned when I became a victim of identity theft. Not because I had my purse stolen, but because I had my identity stolen. They hacked something and then they stole it off some website, and then they went to town using my identity. Keep that in separate location, like what credit cards you had and all that other stuff. Write that down, because if that stuff just goes away, or you've cut up your car, whatever the reason, you're trying to cancel stuff that you're like, I don't remember what I had and what bank it was with and all that. I'm sure she's got all that written down, or the Secret Service does. But yeah, Kristi Noem, Secretary, Homeland Security Secretary, purse swiped at a restaurant while she was enjoying, the weekend with her family. Burgers, no less. It turned out to be a pretty painful experience for her. And I'm now, like I said, the Secret Service is on the case.
Stick around. KSL's Maria Chaleos is up next with the verdict watch this afternoon of the Lori Vallow Daybell trial.
Jeff Kaplan. When I was a kid, my parents got me a subscription to Newsweek magazine. I would devour every page into the night. And to this day, I sit on my iPad looking for stories for my minute of news, flesh out our coverage, and I get to share the news with you.
Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News, 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
If you've tried to lose weight in the past and you've been unsuccessful, let me tell you about the Salt Lake City Fat Loss Program, because this was the one that works. This is incredible. They told me you can lose up to a pound of fat per day on the Salt Lake City Fat Loss Program, and I thought, there's no way. That's way too much. But sure enough, in 2 months, 60 days, I lost 57 pounds. Felt great, and because I saw such incredible results, and it was excited to get on